The file name that won for the Terranigma race is unfortunately the only one that got submitted. It is birds in all caps.
Oh boy.
BIRDS.
Really good start.
So, think we're ready to go? Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yep.
Sorry, we're experiencing some technical difficulties. Hang in there with us. We're back shortly. While we're waiting for the tech to figure out their problems, I have an amazing announcement. We have a $100 donation by Fragbringer, who says, I have been looking forward to this race. I wish you good luck with the birds. Could we see the task route from Z4T0X? And a $21 donation by Dextro Anarchy, saying, betting $10 on Z4T0X winning, also betting $10 on Zockerstu winning. That $1 is one of them getting pooped on by birds. Also, greetings from Germany. And it looks we're ready again, for real this time.
The fear.
Of the crit.
We are ready, guys. Ich weiß.
Okay,
Alright. So, 3, 2, 1, go. Good luck.
Chapter 1, Resurrection of the World. On the right side we have Z4T0X, the current world record holder with a really insane time of 3:29. On the left we have Zockerstu, also with a really good PB, 3:35 I guess. And yeah. Our hero is starting in a small village, and his girlfriend is telling him he should already stay up because he's quite late for that. And apparently Ark did something bad to some chickens, so he should go to the guys where the chickens are and should say sorry. And so we did, because we are an honest little hero, we are. And yeah, basically we say sorry, go back. And since we are done with the chickens right now, there's an interesting thing in the house of the elder. There's a blue door. And this blue door is interesting just because it's blue. It's the only blue door in the house. And the first thing the both runner will do is actually a door skip. The first one we got it, and the second, really good. Saves a little bit of time. Yeah! Just saves a little bit of time because basically we can skip a small cutscene there. And right at the bottom of the house there is a mysterious cave with a box inside. And we do not know what the box is, and so we open it. And yeah. Apparently a small, friendly monster.
Sounds like a fairy tale when you tell it.
Is it bad or is it good?
It's a Digimon.
Yeah, this one is called Yomi, and we have no idea is this a bad thing, is it a good thing or not, but apparently he is showing us what's inside the small chest, and we are quite surprised, like, wow, this small chest contains so much stuff. And basically for the gameplay it's just a small introduction to what can you use for skills, what can you do with your menu. And right now he's showing us, hey, here's a lot of stuff you can store. Here are a lot of weapons you could probably store, and also you can store your armors if you want. And as a small hint, he'd say to us, let's check the weapons armory again. Maybe you get an interesting thing. And so the first thing we actually picking up is so-called the crystal spear. The crystal spear have a really interesting mechanic in the underworld where we're right now, because it will replenish your life later in the fights. And so our girlfriend Melanie is actually looking at us. Why did we broke the door? And no, something terrible actually happened. Our girlfriend, so beloved, frozen. Let it go. And yes, our hero is quite in a trouble. Like he did something really bad, and he do not understand what's happening. And so he's chasing back to the top of the house and is looking for the other people, and realize no, all the other people are affected at this as well, except for the elder one. And the elder one is quite, he's not happy about that it actually happened. And so he told us, you have to go out of the village and you have to visit towers. And the thing is, Ark, our hero, the
Birds.
birds. Forget about Ark, it's birds. So birds see the outside of the village of the first time in his entire life. And so he's a little bit confused, a little bit scared, but he's also really, really interested in that what you see. And apparently the first tower he met, there's a door with a face on it, and basically the door is telling us, do you want to go inside the tower, and do you want to prove yourself? And so we say yes, and so we go. And basically from a gameplay mechanic here, the towers are something like a big tutorial for the game. Every tower you meet will actually a different kind of challenge for you, and you basically learn the small steps of the gameplay one by one. And as you can see in the first part of the game, in the Resurrection of the world, a lot of things happening around souls. And basically the towers are pretty easy for our runners, because it's just about basic movement, about using the right skill for the weapon and such.
Took me years to find that that window is open when you're playing it casually.
Yeah. Like, you learn how to look above your environment to actually continue in the game. And the first thing our runners are doing right now is to actually get the correct experience route here. As you can see, they will not kill all of the enemies here. They will do a specific amount of them to actually have the right amount of experience point. And this is a Guardian. And the Guardian will always give us some tasks. And the first task is to kill those hobbles. Maybe if we get lucky we can see a small cutscene skip. Ah, no. That's unfortunate, but also really difficult to pull. As you can see, we level up right after we kill the 4 hubbles. And if you manage to get the level up right in front of the door, you can skip the small shear up at the end. And now, we're just enjoying a small cutscene.
Does this mean we have time for a couple of donations?
Definitely.
Alright, good, because we have some. I have $10 from D-Site saying, "Greetings from Germany. So excited for this race. This game brings back so many memories. Good luck to both runners and may the birds be with you." I have $5 from Kroik, I think, saying, "Hey guys, really nice job for this amazing event. Good luck and have fun. My really good friends Z4T0X and Zockerstu." And also $10 from Jesper, saying, "Go Zockerstu, go!"
No, I'm sorry. Awesome cutscene, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Wow.
So, as you can see in the first chapter of the game, in the resurrection of the world, we will going steady forward to resurrect the continents. And right now the first continent, oh gosh, the form is so weird. I think it was Europe.
Eurasia.
Yeah, it was called Eurasia, yes, I remember. And as we can see, the first souls we actually resurrected were 4 of our girls out of the out of the village, and the one from our girlfriend as well as her mother. And so our hero is continuing to search for the next tower, which is right around the corner. And right now in the second tower we actually use different game mechanics. Like this tower is all about pulling statues, pushing statues, pushing a button and so. So you get introduced on the mechanics of the game, what can you do with your environment. And basically if you play this game at the casual, you will wander right around the tower for quite a long time, because you have to discover all the stuff. And apparently all of the runners skip a lot of stuff that are available in the tower, just because we don't need it to actually finish the game. Wonderful executed. And it's basically the small thing that makes the game so good. Like, as you can see, the only statues that you can move are the one with a red jewel in the head. All the other statues actually have a green jewel. So, here's an interesting thing. We can skip a little bit of the animation from the Guardian. If after we talk to the Guardian, we actually walk directly into the door. Saves a little bit of time, really important for runners. And now, enjoy the next cutscene.
I also have a donation gotten in, so I will just quickly read that. I have $10 from DDR Jake saying, "You're running my favorite game of all time. I'm going to settle down with a goat burger and enjoy this." Thank you very much for the 10. And another $10 from Zeal saying, "Good luck guys. Stu, don't make it too easy for him. Z4T0X, if you lose, I will mock you."
Beautiful.
And the next continent we're actually resurrecting is South America. America.
Stu is more of a British guy.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Oh, marvelous. Yeah, the reward for the second tower is not that big. We get 2 souls, which is fine. But our hero actually wants to resurrect more people, so we continue our search for the next tower. And so the next tower is basically about platforming and, yeah, let me say jump and run. Like, we have a lot of obstacles to actually dodge and such, and just introduce you to in a more advanced way of your movement skills to get around this. And actually in this tower we have the first small little skip. Normally at this point you have to press the buttons to get the platforms in the correct position to actually get over it, but since we are able to just simply jump over them by, I will not say manipulate the movement, but holding the left or right button to actually get on the platform without moving them, we actually just can jump over them. And even though the door we just saw before, we skip a small text box just because we're using a slider to get into the trigger, and so we just skip them. Little small time save, but really important. And now the first RNG party.
Bless Andre.
We have this fight, which is interesting because you have 3 cadets and you have always to hit the correct one. If you hit the correct one, he will disappear in a moment. Otherwise you have to kill the fake. Like, as we can see, Stu already had 2 fakes. No, Stu is at 3.
I had 4.
Stu as well. So far 4 fakes. We are number 5. That's really bad RNG. Number 6. In a normal case, Stu would have reset right now 7. And the actually problem about getting so many fakes is that it actually brings us in trouble with our experience route. And yeah, let's enjoy the next cutscene. If you have donation, continue.
Not right now, but this would be a good opportunity for you to donate.
Don't worry, we have enough cutscenes.
And speaking of it, I just got in an anonymous bird $5 donation saying, "Is that Dark Gaia yet?"
No.
Is this right record?
Yeah, and we resurrected the next continent. Can somebody say me which one is it?
Africa.
Oh, good.
That was pretty challenging.
Yeah, the pyramid was a really small hind. And then right after I hear the word Africa, I have to think about Toto. Dun 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 dun. And yeah. So, the next tower we will arrive is actually a little bit more special. In this tower is a specific item we need to actually progress in the game. And yeah, at the beginning we do have a cadet fight again, without fakes. But it's quite important for the runners to actually kill those as quick as possible, because those cadets are able to actually stun you. And if it goes really bad, the stun goes so far that it actually can kill you, because they hit you quite frequently. And so you hope you just kill them as fast as possible. And basically the tower is something like a big labyrinth. Like, you have a lot of stairs to go up and down, you have several different ways. And apparently just one way is the correct one. It's something like the staircase simulator right now. And there it is. We actually got the silver thread. If you remember it correctly, we knew that our girlfriend is able to produce clothes out of such stuff. This item is really important because we need it for the last tower, tower number 5. And we go into it deeper when we arrive at the tower. Yeah, Zockerstu is already doing the dancing. And this boss fight is called the Hobble Dance. So the really important thing for our speedrunners at this point is to hit the last hobble at the chain. Normally you have quite a lot of time to hit it. The most important thing is actually the last one, but since the pattern for this hobble chain is always the same, we do not need to worry about that. Like, if you look right now at Z4T0X stream, you can see the last one. Yep, he appears and is gone in just a moment. And here we are, our next cutscene.
Speaking of cutscene, I have a $20 donation from David saying greetings to Germany. Thanks, David. Greetings back to wherever you live.
Greetings back from Germany. Two continents left. Which one is it?
I think it's South America.
Could be. Sometimes we call it the chicken nugget.
So far, so good.
Welcome back, North America. And yeah, before we go to the next tower, we actually have to go back to our small village, which is called Krysta. The first thing we will do is actually to give our girlfriend the crystal thread. And she will actually weave us an armor out of that. And it is really important for us because we're quite alone at this dark land at the underworld, and it's really new for us and we're kind of scared at some points, but we're also really interested in all the stuff that happen right now. And the most important thing for a hero is always a little bit rest. So right after we gave our girlfriend the crystal thread, we decide to take a small nap. Yeah, we already did 4 towers. We resurrected 4 continents, so a small nap is... it's okay, I guess. My sleeping position at 2 AM. So yeah, when something happened in an RPG and we wake up at night, and so something should happen, and we actually see that our girlfriend is already weaving our armor, and we listen to her, and she didn't notice us so far, and basically she's saying that she hoped for that we will never leave, that we never leave the village, because she do not want to lose us. And it's kind of a problem because she asked us, would you leave the village? And we actually say yes, if we have to do it, we will do it. And so we kind of break her heart the first time. But we believe in her, she believes in us, so it's basically a little happy story at the beginning that will eventually change a little bit in the future.
Your sleeping position in the morning.
Yes. 4 a.m. Like, the game is really, really sweet in a lot of spots, like the small details, like how Ark is sleeping, Birds is sleeping. Is something that really makes this game a really, really good one. And here we are getting the armor from our girlfriend, and the first important thing is actually to wear that. We had quite a few runners that forgot about that. And so our hero Bird is heading out for the final tower of the underworld. And right now, when we enter the tower, we will see why the armor we got from our girlfriend is so important. As you can see, the keeper is there. He actually stunlock us and shoot, I would say, some kind of energy towards us. And actually the armor from our girlfriend actually protecting us. If you try to enter the tower with a different armor, you just get pushed back and you can re-enter the tower, but you will always get pushed back. And by the way, the door there at the top, if you go out there, you simply fall down the tower.
Bless RNG.
Bless RNG. So the interesting thing about this is called the Shadow Keeper, and he is the first boss fight of the game. And here we will see the first mechanic of the game that we will abuse quite frequently, and that's called the slicer chaining. Like, if we use the slicer, we get a lot of iframes. We could say it's something like i-seconds, because nobody can hit us while doing that. And the important point is to actually chain it probably one after another. Like you can see, Z4T0X doesn't get any hit perfectly so far. And the problem about this fight is actually this fight produces a lot of lag, so you have to adjust your gameplay just to the input lag to actually get it probably. And that's not easy. You need a bit of practice, definitely, but it's totally worth it to go for it. And yeah, so we beat all our tasks, and so we resurrect the last continent. Which one?
Not that many left.
Rough fight.
This looks more like a chicken.
Everything looked like a chicken nugget. So basically, we resurrected. Come on, this is a good line. Which one is it? Nope.
The host guy thinks he's smart.
What about Ayers Rock?
Nice one.
Ooh, I give them a chance. So we have to admit the map is not really reliable. It should be Australia. It's a little bit weird, but you have to think about it. This game was never released in America, so the problem is the map is actually done like if you were looking at it in Japanese, and the map design in Japanese is a little bit different. Yeah, it's something like the map is always the same, but they actually put the middle of the map at other points if you have the map from other lands. And an interesting fact is we still would have 2 things left to resurrect, but just because this is not important for the run, we leave the island Mu and Polynesia below the water. Rip. And yeah, we actually discovered our small village is completely resurrected, but the elder said we are not done yet. We actually have to go out and explore more. And the first thing we do is actually say goodbye to our girlfriend. But she said, nope, I don't want to see you. Just because it's so sad and she doesn't want to cry. And so she said, I don't want that you see me crying, so you have a bad memory for myself. So just leave it like this. And leave immediately, like, don't make it harder than it is. And yeah, so our hero, Birds, is happily jumping away. And yeah, there's a big cliff. And the other is asking us, do you understand what you have to do, what you really want to do? And so we say, yeah. So we decide to do it. Say yes, and we jump down the hole. And with that, the second chapter of the game is starting, the resurrection of fauna and flora. So, the next thing, our hero Birds is waking up at a completely plain, desert, destroyed land. Whatever we see, we thought we resurrect the world, and we realize we just resurrected the world. There's no living animal, no living tree, no living plants, nothing. And so we want to discover the world, and we actually visit a place, and somebody is calling us, and we do not know who he is, but he said, help me, you have to get rid of the parasite inside of myself. And so we do, because basically we have nothing better to do. Basic storytelling line in RPGs. And like you can see, all the mechanics that we actually practiced earlier in the underworld are now used in the first dungeon of the game, the Ratri. And this Ratri is basically not that difficult, we just know exactly where to go. And we will get our first really important item in this dungeon. And as you can see, since we are quite on a low level, we are not able to kill the enemies in this dungeon, or we could kill them, but it would rather slow, so we just skip all of them and just continue playing, because later on in the game we have several different spots where we can actually grind them, and so it's better to just go fast at the moment. That was a nice fourth cycle. Like, this flower is important because the flower is actually spawning a soul, and this soul actually helps us to progress in the story. And now we get the first really important thing in our run. It's actually a leaf which allows us to actually swim. The interesting fact is our small friend Yomi is asking us, why do you need that leaf? You can't swim? Why? And Ark is Birds. And Birds is just answering, dude, there was no water in Krysta. Which is actually not a true fact, because if you look at it, there was a small river. But he can't swim, so he have to rely on a leaf, and yeah, so we do.
It was maybe only shallow water, I guess.
Yeah, shallow water. And so we talking to the flora, because right now we are able to actually speak to floras and animals. And this is another really important item. We get a Tau drop, I guess. It's Tau drop in English, I guess. Which actually will protect us from the poison from the parasite. Z4T0X is actually doing a small safety threat here. We're taking the leaf armor because it will protect us from poison. And with poison I mean all kind of poison, like we have several different debuffs in the game. And there's also debuffs called as poison. And this will actually help us later to get through a specific area quite safe. Because if you get poisoned, the run is most likely over. So I guess there will be also another safety.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're just taking a bulb, which is actually an item to restore our health. And this is the reason we need the drop, the Tau drop, to actually protect us from the poison from the parasite. The parasite is one of our first bosses which we will grind, just for the mean of experience points. The first cycle is just hitting the parasite as quick as possible. And right now the interesting part is starting. So basically our runners will count the amount of damage that they do to the parasite.
No.
No, they don't do that anymore. Okay. Okay, they don't count the amount of damage they did to the parasite anymore. So basically the interesting thing about the parasite is the parasite have several different attacks. One of those attacks is spawning. Then we have, let me say, the I'm looking out what you're doing. And then we have those drops with smaller enemies. Those enemies are really easy to kill, but they also support us with a lot of experience points. So basically we hope for the best and get as much drops as possible. Like right now at Z4T0X game it looks really good, he quite had a lot of spawns, right? And yeah, you can see we will level up quite frequently at this first fight. And the reason for that is we basically enter the parasite fight with a really low level, because normally you would take the time to kill all the enemies. But in this way we just want to grind because it's much faster and safer.
I have no idea for how much longer this fight is going on, but if we have time for donation, all right, we have. I have a $5 from Hendrik here, who says, "Keep up the good work. Proud to be a gamer." Thank you very much for your $5, Hendrik, and I'm proud of you for being a donator. Thanks.
So basically what they try to do is actually to get up to level 11. Like we said before, the runners do not count the amount of damage they do to the parasite. The parasite have a total amount of 105 HP.
110.
110? Oh, okay. Oh, I'm getting old, sorry. 110. And so the time is quite limited to actually hit him, and so we just hope for as much spawns as possible. And from time to time it could be really happy that we even get additional spawns before we get the final hit. And so far it's looking quite good for both of the runners.
Wow, very good.
Yeah, Z4T0X actually had a really good parasite fight. If you have really bad RNG, you could leave the fight with level 8 or 9 even. But Z4T0X got the upgrade to level 10 quite early, and also got additional spawns, including the experience from the parasite kill himself. And also, Stu got a really good parasite as well. Quite even, so the run is still going.
Still.
Not too much longer.
Yeah, the next part of the game is all about birds. And yeah, right now we just have resurrected all the flowers. And yeah, since we have resurrected the flowers, we are thinking, what will we resurrect next? And the Ratri will actually tell us they are missing her friends. And we're like, where are your friends? Or what are your friends? And the Ratri is telling us, the birds. We're talking about our friend the birds that are living at our place, here, and we are missing them. And so he told us, maybe you should look to the northwest of the map and maybe you will find your answers. And if you can't continue, our friends the flowers will help you.
12 or 13?
13. 13, definitely 13. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
So what about the gentle agreement we have?
Yeah. We will keep it. If anyone crits, the other one will end the
The
bird
exact
fight.
same people will end it. Only if it's a crit.
Yeah. So I think we should talk a little bit about the upcoming fight against the bird a little bit. As you can hear, our two runners are calling it. There are several different difficulty things that could happen right now. Because the bird fight actually is a really interesting fight. The bird actually have 80 HP. And it's quite easy for us to kill them. And the interesting thing is, if we kill the bird and fall down the cliff, we are actually able to reset the fight. But the interesting part about that is that we actually keep the 500 we actually keep the 500 experience points from the killed bird, and so we try to farm those experience points. There's only one thing that probably make a small problem. Every time you level up, your completely movement will stop and start with the animation of the level up sequence. So we have several different amount of kills for the birds, and every time we know the experience will get to the next level, we will do something called a setup. So we hit the birds with our attacks, and we actually have to count how much HP they lost. And then we try to hit the bird while we are jumping over the cliff. And the optimal thing is we kill the bird and we also fall down the cliff, so we can restart the fight and just level up at the beginning of the next bird fight. And the threats are getting quite crazy if we're looking into a tool-assisted run. The birds are so heavily manipulated that we go up to level 24. This is not really reliable for RTA right now. So I think it's 18 plus 6 right now.
Yep.
Right now we try to get up to level 18, and in addition we want to kill 6 additional birds. That allows us to do specific route changes later on, just because with a higher level we do more damage, and so we could kill a lot of enemies, especially a lot of the bosses, really quick. And right now we have the only really important weapon for this game. Just because the rock spear that we got right now here have a really unique ability, we can actually smash specific rocks with them. So we definitely need that weapon to actually continue. And another fun fact is we do not only need it for this dungeon, we also need it for another dungeon later. So even if we able to maybe skip the rock spear at this dungeon, we will not progress later in the game if we do not have it. So the rock spear is actually a must-go.
Oh boy.
If there is maybe a question or something in the chat, just feel free to tell us if you want.
Also feel free to donate. Wink wink.
That's too. Or you can donate and ask a question at the same time. Oh yeah, this screen where Z4T0X is right now is quite interesting. The enemies... When the enemies start to attack, they will actually cause an earthshake, and that will cause the bridges to collapse, and so we have to reset the room, so we try to avoid that. It's rather easy, but sometimes if you mess it up, it's like, damn, I have to jump down and have to do it again. And the item that... the items that Z4T0X just got It's really important, especially for this dungeon, because these are the claws, and with those claws we are able to climb the walls. Yeah, we actually reached another grinding spot. These are the favorite ones. Right now, our two runners will grind up to level 13, I think, yes? 13?
I will, for sure.
Okay, Stu will grind up to level 13, just because it makes the bird fight a little bit more consistent, because you don't depend on the birds to actually get the level from 12 to 13. And as you can see, the grind in every method just takes a little bit of time, and we really try to push and find other strats for actually getting more experience points, but unfortunately there is really no way to get experience points at this place. Like, it's really optimal, you get a lot of XP at this point. If you're lucky, you can also get a little bit of money, which we need later. And this is basically just a preparation for the bird fight.
Oh, the breeze.
High stakes, Z4T0X going for level 12 birds.
Bless Angie.
Good luck.
Thanks.
So yeah, no, we right now at the reason why the birds are so, let me say, special. As you can see, the birds have several different attack animations, and Z4T0X already did the first kill, and as you can see, he actually... That was a close one. Z4T0X is actually lowering the HP of the bird quite to the maximum, and then when the bird is diving, which is not that often, you will actually try to hit him with a slicer. Oh, that looks like a setup, and great setup to level 13. And now you can see we level up after we kill the birds, and oh, that should be the next dive. Like, we should say there's good RNG, there's bad RNG, and then there's Z4T0X RNG.
Worst possible.
Depends on the day.
Just saying, pretty practice.
Yeah. So like you can see, the level up from 12 to 13 was about, let me say, a minute or so. And even the grind before, just for this one level, was even longer. So you can see the birds are so effective to actually push your level, which actually plays a big role for later in the game. Oh yeah, the pooper. Like, this boss fight is called the Twin Birds. Oh. Just a small explanation. The damage is not consistent in this way. You have specific rolls. Like, we should say we have a minimum amount of damage, maximum amount of damage, and some damage rolls in between. And if we get unlucky like Z4T0X did before, then sometimes the setup doesn't work just because we did 2 less damage.
The Morph's grind is so much fun. you wouldn't believe until you play it.
Trust me, Stu didn't practice that. And yeah, this is a point where it's getting quite interesting, because Stu is really close to going to level 13. And if you get more birds after level 13 than Z4T0X have right now...
Hello,
Dive!
If Z4T0X get less birds right now than Stu, and Stu
Really
actually
unfortunate.
will have an advance. So you see there are several different strats for the birds, and it really depends on RNG, and you have to imagine doing a run for about 1 hour and then having bad bird RNG means you have to reset.
Okay.
Stu is just going crazy right now. Oh yeah, just a small information for the other bird. Every time you deal at least 40 damage to the green bird, actually the second bird will appear and will poop.
If we have time to squeeze in a donation. Alright, I have $10 from Jesper again, who says, bless RNG, also great commentary, Krill.
Thanks. So, as you can see, this is called, yeah, normally we do the ice rock later and just enjoy the sun. It can go like this, that we have to actually wait for 2 to 3 minutes to get a new dive. So you see, this is just poor RNG, and it's basically the reason why a lot of speedrunners stop doing the bird grind after a while.
Hello.
Dive, please. Worked. For both.
No.
We should try it again.
Yeah.
Please, bird, down to dive. 1, 2, 3, now. Now, see? So, if the chat want to give us a small favor, please write in the chat, hello, dive.
Wow. Very unlucky.
Just to have a good comparison to a good bird fight, like this bird fight is, yeah, not good. For both. Z4T0X split for the birds with 18... I don't know, it's 18 plus 6, but let's say it's 18 plus 6.
Yes.
It's around 56 minutes. So that means we're still lacking at least 3 levels for Z4T0X and 4 levels for... Oh no, we're already at 15 at Stu as well. And also the additional birds. So this split, I hope we're getting something around a 1 hour split.
Let's see.
Why do I have the feeling that I called it right now? But on the other hand, it's a really, really even race so far, so it's good.
Oh,
Nice setup.
two buffs again?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, before you're wondering what could happen if they get low on health, we actually got a grass pin from the Ratri, and this grass pin actually allows us to heal ourselves, and we do need to use the grass pin, so it's not that important to use it on the point we want to do, because if we need the help, we can get it, and we actually get Maggie Rocks back from the grass pin, and we do need the Maggie Rocks to actually buy magic later on to get spells like to get out of the dungeon and such.
That was close.
Stu is in the lead.
Less RNG.
Oh yeah, we talking all the time about
feel so
crits,
sorry.
so we should describe why the crits are so bad. Every time you crit, you actually double your damage. So you have to imagine if you hit the bird with, for example, 30 damage, a crit would be 60 damage. And it's even possible to kill the bird at level 13 with a high damage roll and a crit. And the problem is, if we crit the birds at level 13 or 14, we actually don't get the experience points. So later in the game there's a small city called Luran where we can grind the experience points, but actually grinding those experience points takes a lot longer than actually doing the birds. So we do have something like a backup strat for races, but unfortunately if you have a really good PB, the Luran grind is not an option anymore. And Stu's still in the lead, he making a buffer.
So, you sure it's 5 kills on that setup? With 30?
You can do on 4 already, but to be
I
safe.
will do, yeah, for safety. Do it on 4 as well. But then I might get a crit.
Now I forgot my count.
Oh. Balls deep.
That was so mad.
Try setup.
Nice, Z4T0X already on... No, not on 17, no. Oh, safety 7, okay. Yeah, so the thing, our runners usually not doing the birds at level 13. We have specific amount of kills to do before we do a setup. And since it's not a really big problem to go for a safety setup, our runners will do that to actually keep the run going. Like critting or killing the bird at level 17 or 16 wouldn't be that bad, but we still want to get a faster run, so they will try to get the 18 plus 6.
Oh, never mind. So, is he going to dive anytime soon?
Not at all.
Die!
Dive in separation. It's an illusion.
Oh boy, oh boy.
And this is quite interesting. Stu was a long time in the lead, and Z4T0X is just catching up, just because he have really good RNG right now.
It's more like that, yeah.
Yeah, Stu's enjoying the view, like, you know. just to notice, Zockerstu just got a really good strat. We call this a setup-less setup. It's basically sometimes the bird is so close to the ledge on the left side that we can actually do a slicer, and we can pull the slicer at a specific point. So we actually do the slicer, kill the birds, and immediately fall down the pit. So we don't need to rely on a normal setup, and it's really safe if you can do it properly. If you do it just a little bit too early, it could be that you hit the bird before that, level up, and then the bird fight is done. RIP world records. We just need to accidentally find a new skip right now. Do your best, guys.
What are your counts, guys?
5.
I'm done.
Oh.
6.
Oh, one more.
Dang it!
Yeah. So Stu actually finished at first. He's right now level 19,
Oh.
which gives us a really good advantage over the next bosses. And right
Unlucky.
after it,
First crit. First
We
crit.
have a run, guys!
yeah.
An even run. Really
To
nice.
be honest,
It's
for a run, it would be really bad to have RNG like that. But honestly, for a race, this is just the best thing we could get. Both got the 18+6 setup right now, so which means we have the same level of experience. We have 2 really good runners, so
I mean, we manipulated the fight, you know?
Yeah.
For the
yeah, for
marathon.
sure. Like, I think the people noticed the first bonk in Krysta. That was the manipulation. That was really
Oh,
important.
right. Yeah.
We just received a $100 donation from German Let's Play. Only, I think, trying to comment with an emote saying clumpy, I don't know. But thank you so much for your $100. We have now surpassed $2,500 in total donations. That is 1/4 of 10,000. Keep them coming, guys. Thank you so
Awesome,
much.
everyone.
I think Clappy was the retarded looking emote from Twitch.
Oh, yes.
So, we now progress. We actually revived our friend the birds, and the birds are quite happy with that they got back. But the big bird is actually telling us, dude, there's missing something. We can fly a small distance without a problem, but we actually want to go to other continents. And the wind is missing. You need to wake up the wind. And we're like, okay, we wake up the wind. Let's do it. And actually, the interesting part about the wind cave right now is this is one of the only few glitches that allows us to skip a cutscene. Like, as you can see, Stu is throwing all the rocks and going immediately into a box, which somehow messes up with the cutscene. And Stu is now going blind through the entrance back. And if he got it right, he should leave immediately right now. And yeah, nice. Normally the cutscene would be a bit longer, you would see a little bit more of the animation, and so we can skip a little bit of time. And it's some of the few glitches that are working in this game. We actually searched for a really long time for glitches, but this game is quite bulletproof. Like, we did some weird stuff with an emulator to just test what would happen if we get something, but so far we were not able to reproduce it on a real console or in a legit run on emulator. And yeah, so we just get back to the big bird and tell him, dude, the wind is back. And to be honest, the big bird doesn't look like a bird that can fly anymore. And actually, we got the bird pin, and the bird pin is a really nice backup, because the bird pin can actually heal us from curses. And in the later game, we can actually get cursed by some enemies when we get hit by them. And so we have a small backup on the way, which doesn't lose any time right now, but if we use it, for sure we lose time, but we are safe and continue the run. And so this dove is actually telling us, yeah, I will make a big travel over the sea. Okay, okay. We actually... What? Okay, okay.
Just give me a sign when I can cross.
Okay, okay. So we actually flying with our dove to the other side of the world, and he said they are friends like the lion, the turtle, and all the other animals are living there, but apparently they are not there, and so we have to search for them.
We have just received another $100 donation from Heiner Misery Meyer. Saying, "Here, take my hard-earned janitor money. It's for the children. Thank you so much for helping out the children. We really appreciate your donation. $100. That's amazing. This run is raising so much." And we also have a $5 donation from GutGo saying, "Hey Stu, hey Z4T0X, awesome tight race so far. Manipulating the bird just for the run? These are the true heroes, guys. The sheriff and I are rooting for the both of you. Good luck for the rest of the run." Thanks for the donation.
And yeah, right now we at zoo, and the interesting thing is we actually do not meet the animals that we expected. We have some weird tortoises and what is it called? Salamander? Yeah, you could call it salamander. And the thing is, we actually notice if there are animals actually need to eat and drink something. And so we realize we have to bring back the water, because water brings life. And so we did. This is actually a shrine just for water. And as you can see, the green comes back quite quick. A good gardener, actually. And we have to do this 4 times in the zoo. And to do that, we actually have to kill 4 specific enemies in this place, because those 4 souls will activate the shrine, and so we can progress in the game. And to be honest, one of the best musics in the game, I believe. Oh yeah, I just wanted to tell you another story fact that we will not see in this run. Yeah, like Terranigma have a lot of story inside of it and really cool stuff. Actually, the big bird later on will be captured and you are able to pay money to a guy to actually free the bird. It's quite expensive. I think it was about 10,000 gold, but every 5,000? What, 5,000? Okay. Every time I was at this place of the game, I was like, come on, he's my friend, let's rescue him. And right now Stu is...
You get a magic rock for that, right?
Yeah, you get a magic rock for that actually. If you rescue him and go back to the place at the bird tower there, you actually have a magic rock that you can pick up. And right now that you saw at first at Stu's screen was actually a sneezing tortoise. And we used the power impact of the tortoise to actually destroy a wall.
Sounds legit.
By the way that we told you about the Maggie Rocks, actually the Maggie Rocks are not really useful in this game. We can buy magic with that, and the magic is most likely really weak or even useless. But there are some magic spells or pins that are really important for us. For example, the bone pin that we get later. And this bone pin actually allows us later on in the game to leave a dungeon immediately. So it's basically a time save. But for other spells like fire damage or lightning or such, we do not have any use for it. Yeah, small threat hitting both tortoise to actually get a sneeze. and just get him back off the screen. I think this is one of the best looking strats in this game. Because it's just like birds is there standing and just gliding back. It's really cool. And also another thing that you maybe notice is every time both of our runners are able to hit an enemy and to kill him, we actually try to do that because every experience point on the route is quite important, so everything that we can get we want actually to get.
Yeah, it's really amazing that they're like maybe 5 seconds apart being one
Yeah.
run.
The thing is, like, both runners are really close to each other, and the thing is they both have the same setup for the birds. So
Z4T0X has one more bird kill,
one more cheater.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No, I think you both have the same.
No, he died on the setup right away. Unlucky damage.
Was that a crit?
No.
So basically this race is really, really good because both have the same setup. And yeah.
Bird RNG wasn't good, right? I mean, like, good for both of them. Like, equally bad for both of them.
Yeah, it was equally bad for both of them, yes.
When we have time, we have 2 other donations.
Yeah, just continue.
Alright, I have $5 from Das Speaker saying 5 gems for Z4T0X and Stu, good luck. Thank you. And $10 from Dalucario saying greetings from Germany. First time watcher and first time donator. I didn't know that we had speedrun events in Germany. Maybe gonna join in the fun next year. You're welcome to do so, but keep in mind that next year this event is gonna be called SpeedCon 2019, so just don't get confused about the naming.
Let's get trolled.
Okay, this fight is actually interesting. I earlier told you about the bird pin. Actually, using the bird pin at this specific position does save a few frames. And there we got it. Z4T0X got the perfect RNG heal. Like he was able to hit this boss actually right at the moment he appears. Stu got a little bit unlucky. He got back, and so you have to wait a little bit before he comes down. So that was probably just a small time loss. I think nothing too important. The race is still going on. And upcoming next, our favorite line.
Lion King.
Just for your information, we beat it that game. Yeah, next game, Lion King. Actually, it's a really nice reference to that. Like, it's definitely the opening screen from The Lion King. So, the next thing, red eyes. What could it be? This is quite funny because it seems like birds is going to be a small snack right now. And yes, we just got lucky, and technically the Lion King just told the other lions, don't do any harm to our hero. He actually saved us, because the Lion King is just a really, really smart Lion King, I would say. And we want to progress on the game, and so we ask the mother or the wife from the Lion King, how can we progress? And she's like, I am a little bit worried because my small lion cub Liam is not here anymore. We had to do a test to actually prove that he is strong enough and especially old enough to be a king. And so he sent them to a cliff. And one thing you notice is our hero birds actually have really strong knees. Time for good music right now. And yeah. So basically this is a completely annoying auto-scroller. Like, the Liam Cup is really slow, and he just tell us we have to get rid of the enemies. And he think we are quite cool and we are really nice to him, so yeah, he just progress. But as you can see, Z4T0X is already getting crazy. It's like, I think this part of the game is really well made. It's have a really nice touch, the music is good, and the story between you and Liam is actually pretty interesting as well. But yeah, as a speedrun, we knew auto-scroller, if there's a way that we could skip that, we will definitely do that. Maybe we see somebody going for fast threads in this auto-scroller. And as you can see, the Lion Cup is not really smart, so yeah, we have to do the part of being smart. A really important thing to tell is actually a lot of runners actually lost time on this auto-scroller. Just because we have to wait until the cup is actually at the top of the screen and giving us a small text box. And after this we can progress to the next screen. If you enter the next screen too early, the completely screen will reset and you have to do this screen again.
Also, he gets lost.
Yeah, that's the thing, the cup is not really smart. We should more focus on the dancing shows that Stu and Z4T0X is providing. Like a minor thing that we can do in this screen is actually to farm a little bit money. We kill all the enemies. The experience at this point are not so important because it's just too less to count in probably. But sometimes the enemies drop a little bit of gold, and getting this gold is actually a little bit helpful. And it's not a time loss though, because you just have all the time you want at this auto-scroller, so you just go for it. So it's basically, if you can save the frames, you just go for it.
Damn it. Too bad. I'm too bad.
No swag for Z4T0X today.
Ooh.
Stu hype. Oh yeah, this screen is actually pretty good because it's the first time the cup is not walking alone. He will just follow you. Maybe Z4T0X will going for the vine climb. Will he go for it? Oh yes, will he do it? Challenging, and who's faster, and oh, good one. It's really important, that makes the run legit. So this screen is interesting if you watched a tool-assisted run for this game. Right now, Liam actually challenged us for a small race, and he told us, come on, which one of us is faster? Who can reach the top of the mountain at first? And since we start early, we think, yeah, we can beat this Lion Cup. It's actually not possible in RTA. And the interesting thing is, if we at the top of the rock, Liam tells us, haha, you're so slow, I'm faster, haha. He's like really mocking us. And the funny thing is, if you do it on a task, you are actually faster than him, and he's still saying the same thing. Like you're standing for there like 2 to 3 seconds, and then, yeah, I'm still faster. So, This boss fight is called the Mud Doll. The Mud Doll is not a really difficult boss. He does take a specific amount of hits to get rid of them. And actually Liam is helping us with some stones and we're just throwing at them. At this point is quite interesting. It would be helpful at this point to have magic, because with a specific spell we are able to shoot small electric shocks, I would say. And we can actually hit them quite frequently with that, and so it would speed up the fight. But the problem is to actually get the ring for this magic and to get the Magri Rock took longer than actually the time save on the Mud Doll fight. So we still have to go for normal strats. And right at the end, the Mud Doll betrayed us, but our friend is growing big and starts to fight the Mud Doll.
We got a $5 donation from Dawn saying Z4T0X and Stu less than 3, less than 3, less than 3. And everyone cool too, Vohayo.
Just a small explanation what Z4T0X and Stu are now doing. They have just to wait for the next thing to happen, and every time a text box is appearing they are going back into the chest, which will actually skip the text box completely and so speed up the process by a little bit. And yes, we should remember the scene, or we should memorize it for later, just because there's a small stone and we just say, come on, we have a really good journey, or we had a really good journey, so we say to Liam, just keep the stone as a memory, just keep it in mind that Liam had that stone. You have to wait for about, let me say, 1.5 hours to see it again.
Spoilers.
We just got in a $50 donation from Apophis Doom saying nice runs and save the children. By the way, message for Z4T0X. Chaos Kitty is making a lot of meow.
So yeah, we actually talked to the Lion King again, and as a reward for helping his son to actually manage the challenge, we get the Lion Claw as a Lion Fang. Is it Lion Fang? Lion Claw?
Neofang.
Neofang, yes. Yes, like, I always have the German words for that still in my mind, so sometimes I mix it up, so sorry for that. The interesting part about the weapon is actually we have, let me say, two different kind of weapons. The one weapon with elemental damage and the one without elemental damage. And the thing is about elemental weapons is all of the bosses, or most of them, have a 75% resistance against elemental damage, which means even using a really higher weapon at this point with elemental is probably more useless than going back to a non-elemental weapon. And right now we at Clamato, and there's actually the first Yeti that we met in this game. The Yeti is a quite friendly piece of brother, and we actually realize something isn't good because he's sitting in a hot well, and Yomi is actually telling us maybe we need an ingredient to actually improve the quality of this spring. And so we're looking for something, and we will definitely find something later on as well. And as you can see, our runners really try to get as much enemies as possible.
And $10 from Yagamoth saying, I hope you all have a pleasant time. Thank you so much for the $10.
I hope you all have a pleasant time.
Marvelous.
Shout out to Yagamoth.
Yeah, shout out to Yagamoth. Yagamoth is actually doing really... He called those runs lore percent. He has a really awesome voice and he's telling the story really good. And it's really enjoyable to watch. It's like you're at home after 8 hours of work, you listen to Yagamoth's Terranigma run and it's like, you're in heaven.
Oh, you should check out. RPG Limit Break 2017, I think. Boy the Hero also did a run on this, and Yaga was commentating on that, I think.
Yeah, really good.
So if you wanna get the Yagamoth experience watching Terranigma, then you should also consider checking out RPG Limit Break 2017.
Definitely check out that Yagamoth experience. 2 years of subscribing can't be wrong. So yeah, as you can see, we put the piece of the flower into the hot spring, and it actually fastened up the process of healing the Yeti. And so the Yeti helped us to get over the river. And so we have to discover the next part of Clamato. Basically, the story before that, I probably missed that. We resurrect the flowers, we resurrect the birds, the mammals and such. And there's just one thing missing, and Ark is like... Oh, sorry, not Ark, I always get to back that. Birds. Birds is asking, where are the other people? Where are women, where are women, men? So basically, where are the humans? We just get the hint that there's something hidden at the east of the land, and this is Clamato. And basically, this is one of the saddest scene in this game.
Get out your tissues.
Yeah, get out your tissues. Goat meat.
Goat burger.
Yeah, we are ready for goat burger. I would say, chat, get ready for your Bible thump. So basically, we were hit by what's it called?
Avalanche.
Avalanche, yes. We got hit by an avalanche, and we met 2 goats, and one of the goats isn't doing really well. And we can just feel that the second goat is slowly fading. And for the next night, we just cuddle with 2 of the goats. We keep it warm, and so we survive the night. And the next day, we woke up from the other goat trying to break through the wall and know something really... I would say it's just natural, but it's really weird because we can understand those. And basically, the goat tells us he will eat his husband, just because if he gets energy from him, basically he can or she can survive longer. And this is basically nature. And right after, now please do a lot of Bible thumbs. Only our hero Birds is actually able to get out of the cave. Another sad story fact is, if you're done with Clamato and go back to this cave, you actually see both ghosts lying there. Bible thump.
I do have a $5 donation here from Azaro Kusu, saying greater than 3 because I'm a rebel.
Calculated. Calculated.
What?
This is actually really good because Z4T0X
You
managed
can't
to
say
actually skip the level up animation. He killed the enemy, got the level up, jumped onto the vine, and so he saved a little bit of time. So the next fight is against Morph. And as the name implied, this guy is actually morphing quite a lot, and the first enemy you have to fight is the Yeti. And you will say, why are they stupid? Why do they run against the crystals? They get damaged. It's actually a really effective lag reduction. Like, if you hit the first crystal, you reduce the lag by over 95%. If you hit the second crystal, you reduce the lag by more than 99%. And if you have a high level like Z4T0X and Stu, you actually kill all the crystals and so get rid of all of the lag. And after this you just stand there, do a little bit of idle. So yeah, time to eat. And yes, the second fight. The last time we have to fight a cadet. And just to point it out, Z4T0X right now have a little advantage because on level 20 he have definitely more strength than Stu, and he probably have the chance to kill the third phase of the Dark Morph in just one hit, which saves quite a lot of time because in the third phase of the fight Dark Morph is turning into several different bats. This takes about, I think, 7 to 8 seconds, not sure though. And if we hit him, or if we kill him at the first try, it actually saves quite a bit of time. And yeah, I think it was the low damage roll. The highest damage roll should kill him.
I have the chance, guys. I have the chance.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Stu, just get the one hit and you got more time. Nope, unlucky as well. Those are things you just can't manipulate, like you can't do something about the damage rolls.
Tie break.
Quick one. Very quick one.
Yeah, I guess the run is over.
Runs over.
Runs over. Yeah, basically the thing about Terranigma is the run is about 3.5 hours long, and yeah, this is one of the 2 cutscenes where you actually could take a small bathroom break, and they actually did. And in this small cutscene you see the circle of life, like bigger animals eat smaller animals and such, but one thing isn't right, because at the end you can see there is a Hubble killing animals, so still something isn't right. And the interesting fact is, from the time right now up to the next chapter, there will quite a lot of time.
While our runners are gone, I have a $23 donation to announce from Goldjunge, saying, "Best RPG, charismatic guys, nice commentary, making the day in the clinic. Lots of love. Thank you so much for $23.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Chapter 3: The Resurrection of a Genius. So yeah, basically I want to tell you who is a genius. We will find out about that later. And the interesting fact is, before all that happened, we were able to speak to animals, to trees, to flowers and such. And since now the humans are resurrected, we are not able to do it anymore. Like, if you would go back to zoo and such, you will just get animal noises from them. But the interesting thing is, they still recognize you.
Yeah, they still recognize you, but like we wouldn't be able to understand them either way because obviously the game is in Japanese. So
It's not only the problem we don't speak animal, we don't speak Japanese animal. And the spell we got right here was the bone pin. I mentioned it already earlier, and the bone pin actually allows us to leave a dungeon immediately. And if you haven't noticed yet, actually the person in the middle, this is actually a reference to the Dalai Lama, which is really good because the game have a really, really good story. And if you want, just do yourself a favor and do a casual run of this game. It's really, really good. You will definitely enjoy all the dialogues and such, and the story is really, really deep and good. At some point it gets little bit messy, but that's just the end. But it's okay, it's alright. So the next thing is the old man tells us he have a granddaughter, and he is worried about his granddaughter because she is playing in a city, and he told us, you have to follow her. Could you do something for me so that she is happy? And there we are, Luran. Luran is a really nice and little happy village. And the first thing we're doing is a man asking us, dude, I'm really rich, but when I'm dying, what should I do with my money? And we're like, yeah, you shouldn't care about any other people, just take it with you.
into the grave.
Into the grave. Why we choose that option, we will see, let me say in about 10 minutes.
It's still very close.
Yeah, it's really, really close so far. Like, we have a lot of stuff happening in the later game which could still change the race so far. Like, this is nothing, finally. Just because Z4T0X have probably a lead for about, let me say, 10 seconds, maybe. It's not that much. And yeah, so we decide after we talked to Mei Ling, after we gave her her scarf. No, we didn't give her the scarf, but we just talked to Mei Ling. We actually take a small nap, because Luran is such a nice little city. And yeah, sometimes our nightmares becomes true. And Yomi is like, oh, it's smelling like rotten flesh. And yeah, this city is actually just an illusion. And now we have to find our way through the city. And basically, I think you guys will skip the light rod, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Since both of our runners are so on a high level, we will actually skip a weapon in this area, which we don't need just because we get enough strength from our level ups. Another fun fact that we do not see in the run is there's a house where you can crawl below a table. And if you crawl below the table and wait a little bit, there are two zombies talking to each other. And those two zombies are like, dude, did you saw that crazy guy? And he like, yeah, this crazy guy is killing all the people, like, what the hell did we do? And this just shows us that this is just all an illusion. And we will see who actually do the illusion at the end of Luran.
We have two more donations. One is a $15 donation from Tilmandra saying, good luck, struggler Z4T0X and Stu. Don't mess up the Gaia Manip now. And don't you die from random stuff, Stu. Greetings from your sexy friend Tilmandra.
I try.
And a $10 donation from Ritalin. Come on, boys, speed up. I have to be at work in 6 hours. You better catch him, Stu. Good luck, boys.
Shoutouts to Retardlin and Tilmandra.
So right now there's another interesting thing. You saw the screen before, there were armors, and those armors actually carrying a ghost. And if you get grabbed by those ghosts, they actually put you back in the middle of Luran. And we will actually use that for our advance. And right now Z4T0X does got an item that actually protect us from those ghosts. But since we want to abuse it a little bit, we kill both of the enemies, or not one, or only one. That was a pixel perfect not killing animation. And right now he will equip the item he got, and in the next few screens we will see why. Because Normally the ghosts would just spawn when we hit those armors, but wait for it, wait for it. This flora is actually the problem. If you do not have this item, you can't progress, because every time you come close to those ghosts, they actually catch you and bring you back to the entrance of the round. So we have to actually equip this item. And like before, we try to get as much XP as possible, because killing all the enemies on the way isn't a time loss, so we go for it. And yeah, I should mention also the difficult stuff at this point. Z4T0X and Stu picked up the leaf armor earlier in the Laboratory, and the Laboratory actually protects us from poison. And the chance from a zombie to actually hit us with poison is really, really high. And it does take a lot of time from the run if you get poison, because it's something like, what is it, like a laugh spell or such, which forces you to stand still every 2 to 3 seconds until it's over, and it's really, really annoying, really time consuming. So to not having that is really, really important. And also, you see, we pick up several different potions. Most likely we pick up strength potions. Those strength potions actually increase our strength just by 1, but Terranigma is a really, really strict game when it goes around status. For example, in the later game we have a boss fight where you just do about 1 to 3 damage, and when you reach level 25 you will actually do the first real damage. And right now you saw that we actually picked up money from the grave, and you could guess which money that was. The guy that we told, yeah, don't care about others, take your money and put it in your grave. So,
Was that 500 bucks?
yeah, it's 500 bucks.
Speaking of money,
Yeah, just
we just got in a $50 donation from Flameseeker, saying, "Hey, my two sweethearts, good luck to your race. Sadly, I couldn't see the beginning because of birthday hangover. Love you guys, less than 3. So thank you for donating us some of your birthday money."
So this screen is interesting because we can farm a lot of experience points. The small dog from Maylin is actually walking a strict path here, and he will not do any different path. And as long as he walks, we will be able to kill as much enemies as possible. So we go for that. And even if we get some money, we collect that. So maybe we can skip a chest later if we got enough money at this point. Now I feel alone. I'll be back.
Oh. Lost enemy.
And yeah, the reason why we followed the dog is actually we got the scarf from Maylin earlier, and we just let the small doggy from Maylin sniffing on that, and so he will find the path and that bring us back to Maylin. And we have to admit, Maylin does have a really bad childhood just because her parents are already dead, and his grandfather is just caring for her, and just because he feels so lonely and so isolated, she actually did the illusion because she's actually quite powerful. But the problem is she's really, really young, and she doesn't know what's right, what is wrong. And over the whole run, she will actually learn what is important and what not. And this will go on through the story, so I think it's not a spoiler, so we will see what happens later with Maylin. It's basically one of the main story parts of this game, which are really, really good. And yeah, that was basically Luran. And the next thing is we going into the Gobi Desert. And normally you have to get some hinds to get through the Gobi Desert. It's something like you have to go east, you have to go to the west, and when you hit 3 rocks you have to go down until you get a rock formation which is settled like a snake. And then you have to go as long to the northwest until you meet the point where you hit a skull. And since we do not need that information, we have found out that it's possible to go through the desert just like to a specific rock and then going diagonal to the top left. It's much more easier. And later on we will get an item which make the Gobi desert even more easier. And Z4T0X right now got the mushroom, which is important for the next part of the game. Normally you would go into the city before getting the mushroom, but since we knew we need the mushroom, we just skipped the city for the first time, get the mushroom directly, and so we can, I would say we can skip a little bit of the story just because we know better before. Okay, nice. The next one is the flower girl. The flower girl is a really nice girl because a lot of speedrunner actually buy more than one flower. Like we have people that just mashed the button and bought 9 flowers, and apparently you need just 1 flower. And the interesting part is the flower girl is actually telling us these flowers are so good. If you give the flower to a penguin, he will smile again, and if you give the flower to a sad girl, she will also smile again. So those are some small hints for the game later on, and to be honest, the hint with the penguin is really small, but really important. I will go back to that later when we get to the part where we actually need to meet the penguin. And yeah, the interesting part about this hotel is actually they want to charge you with 1 million gold. And we actually tested it. If you get up to 1 million gold at this point, the tax will completely ignore it. It's like a scripted scene. Even if you have the money, nothing will change. So yeah. So yeah, and right now we will enter the castle. And just so you noticed, we gave the mushroom to the medicine guy here, and he told us he can make us a really strong sleeping powder, which we need in about 5 to 10 minutes. And Z4T0X is now in front of the king's room, and as you can see, basically the JRPG you can spot the main characters. Like we have our hero birds, and we have Roy. And Roy actually do have the best music in the game. And now there's a really interesting thing. This girl actually seems so familiar. Like, doesn't she look like our girlfriend from Krysta? And it's not like that she looks really like close to our girlfriend. She looks like an exactly copy of our girlfriend. And we are quite worried because why doesn't she talk to us? She should knew us. And so we're worrying, and the king gave us a task. And the task is basically, hey, if you manage to bring back the ability to speak again to her, you can marry her. And since we're like, yeah, basically, I think we are still her boyfriend, even if she's probably different, we just go for it. And right now, Z4T0X actually bought a bunch of bone pins. Actually, if you use magic rocks in this game, like the magic rocks are the currency for magic spells, you not lose those magic rocks, you get them back. And earlier we got the bird pin, and with the bird pin, the grass pin. With the grass pin, we actually get some of the magic rocks back, so we are able to buy additional bone pins. So it's a really good system in that case. The problem is magic is, except for the bone pin, quite useless. So if you're under 18, you shouldn't look right now there because we're doing illegal stuff. Like, the stuff is cooking, and if you remember, we got sleeping powder, and we just put it into the pot, and it's like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And this is very effective. Like, the dinner is starting, we go back into the castle, and everybody is asleep. And so, the little thief we are going to check out if there's something worthwhile in this castle. The first thing we check out is probably the king's room at the top, like the bedroom of the king. And yeah, what's happening? we see our girlfriend, or is she really our girlfriend? And we try to speak to her. What's happening? Why don't you speak to me? And Yomi is like, come on, forget about her, just continue on your journey. Like, Yomi is not really, I don't know, he's not really that friendly in most of the cases, but he's really, really useful in the game. Nice. Right now we got a bell, and this bell is important because we get a hint from Roy actually that in the north of Europe there is the forest. It's basically localized, I would say, in Scandinavia if you look to the map, and we need the bell to actually continue through the forest we want to visit as next. Like basically the forest is a big maze, and if you do not have the bell you are actually not able to progress. So it's
not just to frighten some wolf or something like that?
no, therefore there's a pipe.
Oh yeah. It's cool.
So yes, Z4T0X is now entering the forest, and there's our another main character, the Mr. Roy. And he tells us, come on, you can't do it, just try if you want, but I guess you will not make it. But since we are the hero, we knew we will definitely make it. And soonish we will equip the bell. And every time we are on the right way, the bell will ring. And so we know we're on the right way and we can actually progress. Like at this case, we're actually doing kind of speedrun strats because we knew the way, so we just need to kind of trigger it on the last two screens. But normally the bell would also help you to progress through the earlier screens. And like we did before, we tried to hit as many animals. We tried to hit as many enemies as possible. We just go for it. If I'm not right again, we should take the chest here to grab some gold. Like, it's just on the way, and apparently a shadow is following us. Ooh. X Factor. So, the next thing we actually need to gather is there's a pipe against wolves. And normally you don't get any clue up until you get to the point where you need to use it. So we collect it before that hind, so we can progress a little bit faster. And in the room before, or in the screen before, we actually noticed something behind us, like, was there something? And then you get actually a box where you can check two answers, and it's like, nah, I'm just thinking there is something, but maybe I'm just crazy. And the other thing is, yeah, there's definitely something. But we actually didn't check. And now we get the answer. And so we met Meilin, rescue her again, and we progress into the forest. Like basically this forest, if you play it the first time, is really confusing because there are a lot of ways. A lot of stuff you can actually collect, like Maggie rocks, gold chests and shards and such. Also some bulbs and other several items, but those are all not important for our run. And right now we enter a village which is really familiar. Like if you remember the game, at the start of the game, we were starting in the small little village Krysta, and right now we are standing in front of the exact same house of our village. We really want to enter the door, but apparently they are wolves, and now the pipe is getting a use. This is the only way to actually get rid of the wolves. And if you look closely, the house is exactly the same. Even the blue door exists. And in the bottom and the top chest, there's actually a picture from the mother and the dad from our, let me say, semi-girlfriend from the overworld. And Meilin telling us, dude, you know I can do really powerful illusions. Just get to the king and tell him, dude, we have something to bring back her voice. And then he will start to create an illusion to see her parents again. Yeah, this is a really lovely scene. Like, I really like the music that happened because it's Malin's theme, I would say. And she just told us, yeah, go into the room, I will do the rest. And we told the king we find apparently a thing. And right now we're back in it's called, let me remember, Stockholm, yes. So basically this village is Stockholm. And now our semi-girlfriend Melanie, I think it's Ellie. Oh, Ellie, yes. Melanie was a German name again, damn. They both are called Ellie, and she is really shocked, like, these are my parents. Why are they here? And you notice something should really bad happening at this village, because why is she so sad? Like, why did something happen, or what happened? We do not know yet, but if we progress in the story, we get the answer to that. But right now we just make her speak, and yeah. Birds.
Your worst nightmare.
Yes. Dreaming about elders. So basically the elder told us we are not done yet. Like, we believed we resurrect the animals, the flowers, the humans, and we're like, we're kind of done, because what is left? And he said, no, we have to progress further, and we should actually check out the south of Eurasia, and maybe we will get a hint. And this lady at the bar actually told us, be careful, the king has died. And we're like, why did the king die? Did he had any enemies or so? We will see.
Time for a quick donation.
Oh, yes, sure.
Tailmandra donated another $5, saying, oh, by the way, did you remember your turbo controller, Turbostu? Kappa.
This guy.
So this is actually my favorite scene, because you have those pictures, and we actually have a lot of references to that. Like, a lot of those pictures, the one picture looks like Bill Cosby. The one is looking like, I don't know the original name, but the guy that plays MacGyver. And it looks really familiar to real life people. And the story of this castle is actually, there's living a queen, and this queen actually had 4 daughters. And somehow something terrible had happened, and we do not know what so far, but we know those 4 children of her, the four women, actually want to drive with the ship to the other side of the world. And the guy who actually was a captain of the ship was Columbus, and somehow it wasn't that good of a ride, because the whole crew died, including the 4 women, but only Columbus actually survived that. And Columbus actually is just waiting for our help right now. And to help him, actually, we have to find 4 jewels in the castle, because the portraits you saw earlier, our hero Bird is saying, hey, isn't there something weird about it? And then you realize there are 4 sockets where you could put a jewel inside of it. And so we go for the jewels. And basically the story of a small William. The soul told us, yeah, could you help me? I want to go back into my body. We did it, he betrayed us, we killed him. So short and easy. And soon we should see the first spot of the first jewel. Oh yeah, we did that before, I forgot. Actually, you had seen some, what is this called? Chandeliers? I guess it's chandeliers, or? The chandeliers are hanging at the top of the floor, and if we put in a specific number while we're walking on those rollers, we actually create more platforms to walk on, and so we can get another jewel. And right now we're getting... Did you guys still get the weapon?
Nope.
Nope, okay. So basically, before the improvement of strats, in the left chest there's the ice pick, which was a really powerful weapon. But since we get so many levels right now, we do not need that. And the other thing is, the ice pick was an elemental weapon, so we didn't have a use for it for boss fights. And yeah, this is probably the best place to hide a jewel. We just crouch into a really long, dark place. I couldn't imagine something better like that. Like, I mean, it's probably a one way. I wouldn't figure out to go back. And surprise, surprise, he's still really clean. So I strongly believe our runners will not go for the safety armor, but apparently in this castle there's also safety armor, which is just about 15 seconds, I guess, which gives you a lot of defense. But since this is not... It's a valid strat, but I think our runners are at a really good level. They don't need them anymore. Like, it's really good to recommend this for beginners of this run. Just grab the safety armor so you get more defense, so the boss fight in this castle will get a lot easier. And yeah, now there's one of my favorite cutscenes in this game. You have this friendly small guy called Yomi, which tells you, hey, on the other side of the castle there's a jewel, and we need that jewel. And our hero Birds is actually like, and how should I get it? And he's like, yeah, just jump over this. And Birds is like, no, I don't do that. And Yomi actually helps us. That's what I call a good bird.
Kind of like an Assassin's Creed reference.
Yes, this is a real Assassin's Creed. And a little fun fact is, normally you would go down the vine and collect the jewel and go back and then jump down. But if you just fall down, you grab the jewel automatically and continue falling after the cutscene stop. So this is just a small improvement, which is quite nice to have. And the next thing, which is quite interesting as well, like we have a statue with the shape of a snake, and we are like, oh, there's something hidden. Let's put our arm into that. And we were actually successful, and the poisoned water turns into normal water. I'm not sure if I should drink that. I guess we have better tap water in Germany. And yeah, the reason why we did that is actually in the well of the castle there's also hidden a jewel, and the interesting fact is you just see a mirror picture of the jewel. So if you jump into that, you get it, and it's a really well-made place to find the jewel. So the last jewel is placed where we put down the chandeliers. Thanks. On the left there's the jewel we need, and on the right side there's a big bulb which we could take. Not sure if they get them. Oh, Z4T0X is struggling, and he did it. It's just a small safety, which such a small time loss, which is really helpful. Like if the boss of this dungeon actually hit us, we lose quite a lot of health, so it's a good save. Like, yeah, we were referring to, like, the left guy is looking like Bill Cosby, The second one from the right, like MacGyver.
Poo Excel.
Yeah, as well Poo Excel. And the other one, and the other one looks like Bill Murray, to be honest. Oh yeah.
Also, we should watch the chandelier, which is shortly dropping from the top, and just watch what it does with the floor.
Yeah. Somehow Nintendo and destroying floors is like...
Not
It's
that Hollywood.
You could say that a lot of games could be directed by Michael Bay.
We got like a round-ish chandelier dropping from the top.
That's what you mean.
Whew. And we got a square hole in the ground. How about that?
Gosh, that reminds me about a really bad Dragon Ball reference. Why the squares make a circle? Why the squares make a circle? So, and basically now we play. I think it's called merry-go-round. Yes. And basically they just have a small dialogue like, yeah, where are the daughter that dies and what have we do with the guy that did that and such. And the one you actually have to hit is always the one behind you. Like there's no thing like you don't need to walk around, you just get to this place. And when they stop moving, you just wait for a little bit and then you hit the one behind you. And it's actually not important to do damage, it's just basically you have to hit them 3 times in a row. And yeah, like Bird's idle animation is really good, I believe. Nice, stepping Columbus into the head. Oh yeah, here's a really small strat for speedrunning. We actually go into the box to actually skip his text. And then we're walking a bit to the down right to actually avoid the first hit. And then we get as quick as possible.
Less RNG.
And now we have to hope for good RNG. This boss fight is called Bloody Mary, the mother of the 4 women that died. And the thing is, Bloody Mary have several different attacks. And basically we want that she is using the mask throw quite frequently. Because when she throws the mask, she actually stand on the place and we can hit her quite frequently. There are other attacks like teleporting or moving around or doing something like a magic triangle, and all of those attacks actually really slow. And the interesting thing is, as you notice, we do not do a lot of damage here, and we actually use our slicer chain to actually get invulnerable and to do the most damage. Like it's faster to attack her with such a small amount of damage instead of leveling up before we can actually do a lot of damage. So even for a speedrun, it's really fast. And Z4T0X actually got a really decent RNG. We actually got the 3rd mask throw so far. And she should be done soon. Yeah, that was good.
Very good.
Like the best RNG would be if you get all the time mask throws, but this is quite of rare. And another interesting small point is we use a bone pin directly after, because we want to teleport her out. And Stu got a really good Bloody Mary as well.
3 mask and 1 triangle.
Yes.
And a lot of crits.
Really good.
Still catching up.
So the next thing is quite interesting. Normally you would never ever reset your console. Because yeah, the run is over then, but technically we will save our game right now, reset the console, and that actually allows us to go on a specific RNG seed. RNG is the random number generator, and if we play really well after this, and we just need to play for a little bit really well, we can actually manipulate something called the ghost fight. And this lady is Lady Fita, and she is asking us, hey, the girl you met, the daughter of the king, please protect her. So go on the boat and just protect her. And for some reason we actually say, okay, yes, we do that, because something is really special about Fita we're feeling, and so we do our best. Nice.
Bless RNG, huh?
Really good execution. That was frame and pixel perfect.
Yeah.
Actually, we had runners, which was one also sad, also funny. They actually tried to save, forgot to save, resets the console, and the run was gone. And yeah, now it's our time to go to the other side of the world, which is quite interesting because we were there before, and honestly, to fly with the dove is a lot faster than to drive with a ship. And yes, as we do, we try to talk to our girlfriend again, but she doesn't reply. And so we decide to do the best and take a small nap. Like, I believe Birds is really, really sleepy. Like, I think we sleep for about 3 or 4 times in the whole story, just to progress it. And right now, what's happening is what I mean with the manipulation. Ghosts are attacking the ship. And we believe, actually, this is not 100% sure, that those ghosts are actually sent by the king, because the king is dead, and right after we rescue her, we actually get to know that she was the one who actually killed the king. And so the king tried to get a revenge and sent those ghosts to actually kill her. But since we are the hero, we protect her. And now is the first time she is talking for real with us. And we describe her, it's so weird, you look like my girlfriend from the underworld. And she doesn't understand, but she said, okay, it's weird for you, it's weird for me. Just keep it at the best. Like, basically, we could still be friends at this point. Yeah, and then we go to sleep. We got friend zoned and we go to bed.
No, I know.
Yeah, and the great thing about this cutscene is like all the people like, we see new land, this is so fantastic, and our hero is like, come on, I was there like an hour ago. And as you can see, our hero Birds is actually sleeping in several different positions. I mean, you actually need a talent for that. And yes, we actually go out, and this guy actually gives us a letter. This letter is from L from the overworld, and this letter actually explains what happened to the king, and so we get the conclusion what happened at the ship as well. And now time for the coolest dude on the run. You shouldn't underestimate him, he is a really, really strong guy. He is buffed as hell. And actually, he's also a really, really great person, because right now, after he showed us his tricks, he tells us, come over to my friends, and we actually get to know that he is caring about small children, because a lot of children actually lost her parents in this game, and so he took care of them, which is really nice, because if you do basically something like a full game, you can develop the cities, and you see that this house is actually growing and growing and getting more kids that get help for each other. It's quite of touching. It's a really good thing. And another thing is that in all the cities you can actually explore the human history, Like you can explore the first time using electricity, you see the first time using a camera and all the stuff, and it's really, really well made in a really sweet way. So I just can recommend to do that. And this part is a little bit of farming because we need to build a bridge, and we just need 9 logs to actually build a bridge. And on the other hand, you see we will killing the enemy, which brings us a little bit of experience again. And quite frequently the enemies are also dropping gold. So we go for the gold, try to collect it, which will probably save us later a little bit of time if we can, like I said earlier, to skip a chest. And the worst thing that could happen at this point is you have to count correctly. Like you need exactly 9 logs. If you have 8 logs and give all the 8 logs to the guy who needs those logs to build the bridge, he said after you leave the screen, I still need 9 logs. So if you do it wrong, you actually have to do the whole thing again. So I just hope that our runners don't get confused.
Can you count more than 9 logs?
Nope, you can't. When you got 9 logs, you actually get a message you can't carry anymore. Like you can only have one type of item in your inventory.
Just gotta go save and check it.
Or you have to equip them anyway, so you can check.
Yes, yes, yes. Like on the way you can check them, and even if you have just 8 logs, for example, you just have to go back once more and grab another one. So that's alright. And the only annoying part is, for example, in the European version it's enough to talk once to him, but in the Japanese version you have to talk 9 times to him to give him all the logs. And I probably think that's a problem. In the European version they actually check if you have 9 logs, and that's okay. And in the Japanese one they get 1 log by each other, stack up this number, and if you leave the screen this value is getting lost, so you have to do it again. And yes, we're back at the beginning of our run. Birds. The interesting thing is you can still use the birds as a traveling option. Did we see? Oh no, Creamy Cat. I think you both should show off the Creamy Cat once.
Z4T0X, be a gentleman and show it off. Come on.
Also, another interesting thing there is like you saw those guys entering the old world, being at in that part on the old world, and now since they revived the humans, they revisited that area, and suddenly there's a bridge, so you can like access other parts you couldn't access earlier. So that's like also kind of the Metroidvanian style in Terranigma, that you can explore other parts of the old world once you like progress in your part of the resurrection progress.
So in this cave we get another bunch of gold, and now we're getting back to the point where you try to make a penguin happy. And this is really important because the flower girl is just at one city, and if you develop the city where the flower girl is selling those flowers in the wrong way, you can't get the flowers anymore. There's only one way, which is really, really finicky. Like, I think it's, I always mess up the city name, I think it's Liotto. There's a lottery, and there you can win a flower, but this chance is really, really low, and it's really annoying. And you need those flowers for the penguin because you get a starstone. No, it's moon or starstone? It's moonstone.
Starstone.
Starstone.
Some stone.
They look like a moonstone, but they are starstones. Okay. Because you need those stones at the end of the game to kind of finish the game. And since we are really close to the point where we get to the north of the map with the birds, with the dove, we actually do that at this point because it's the fastest way. And this is actually really, like, you do not get any hints in the game except for the flower girl telling you can make a penguin happy with that. And you have to make the connection, okay, a happy penguin is maybe a way to solve the game. And it's like, Okay. So it's probably one of the stones later that most of the people will miss in a casual playthrough.
Are there different routes at the moment?
No, they will do the same route.
But like, I guess the game came with the game guide, so I think once you got stuck, you were able to look it up at the game guide, like where to go, because some of the puzzles are, like Krilla said, they are quite confusing sometimes.
Yeah. The interesting point, what you pointed out with the game guide, is actually the game guide just told you, do you need a flower to make the penguin happy?
Oh,
But
it's
the-
only the game guide. Oh,
But
yeah.
the problem is, they don't tell you where to get the flower.
Oh, okay, that's like a game guide reference.
Like, you have to imagine the first city we meet after Luran. After the king is dead, there's a void, and you have to void between two guys. And if you pick the wrong one, the city will not develop. And so, since the city is not developing, this flower girl is not there, and then the only option to get the flower back is actually the lotto thing, the lottery. And if you do not know this, it's really, really annoying. Just like when I first played this game, it's like, oh, she wants to sell flowers, and she told me she would be really happy to sell as much flowers as possible. So I did.
Making the flower girl happy.
Yeah. And this cutscene is really, really... You can see Mei Lin is playing with us. She's just a small girl. There's no definitely age for her, but she should be around 14, 15. And she do not know anything about love and such. So she actually falls in love with us, and she wants that we are the only one for her. But since we are still attached to our girlfriend Elle, she's quite picky about that. And the step she did at this point is just the first step. It will definitely go a lot worse later on. And right now we getting into the Mermaid Tower, which actually includes mermaids. Which actually involves quite a sad story. But before we get to the story, we actually have to fight the next boss. The English name is quite simple. It's just called Big Fish. And I think the German name for it was Sataquario. It's like, why do the German people get such a interesting name for it? So the lucky thing that could happen in this fight is actually a one cycle when we crit the fish. Rarely happens, but it can. And I believe a two cycle is possible.
Yes.
So through the higher level right now, it's able to kill the fish in 2 hits. And we actually fight the fish in a really specific way. So the fish will always go in the direction we want. So we know where the fish will appear at the next time. So we can attack him quite early. Yeah. The thing is, you just have to think about it. Stu doesn't have that much luck with the second hit, so he doesn't kill him. But
well, I'm level 21, so...
Yeah, he is still level 21, but since the fact that he has killed the boss at the top of the map, it's not that big of a time loss. It's still a time loss, but not that big. And now we're getting to the sad story. This mermaid actually died quite recently, and he told us, yeah, I was going to get married, and she still have the ring, and we do need that ring to actually progress, because her husband is actually waiting for her, and he is waiting for quite a long time.
Oh, so how does that work? Is it like the people that died in overseas, they became mermaids, right? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's actually, normally you don't have any hints for that, but there are a lot of libraries in the game, and if you read from time to time into those libraries, you get those informations. Like saying people turn into that, people can do that and such. So you get a little bit of lore from those libraries as well. Really well hidden at a lot of points, but if you little finicky about searching stuff, then you will definitely find it.
I'm also really proud of my body, Zockerstu, recycling the big fish. I saw him ripping around on that boss.
And yeah, now the story with the mermaid and the ring is closing. He is already dead because he has waited really, really long for her. And I think it's a really good part of the story that you actually put together the mermaid tower with some kind of sad story, because it's a really good story, I believe. It's a sad one, but I think it's really well fitting in this game. Like, you learn in this game that everything have a good side, everything have a bad side, and actually those aspects of dark and light will play a big role at the end. And yes, with the next item we are actually able to dive. Like, I'm wondering, couldn't he just stop breathing for a while? That's the same thing basically. And this dungeon is quite special because this dungeon actually have a really, really difficult room. And if you don't get the room correctly, you can actually die and you have to go back through the dungeon. It's not that big of a time loss, but it can be really, really annoying. And yeah. Actually, this was really creepy as a child. Like, you have to swim and you're just taking a really, really heavy iron ball onto your feet to actually not get ripped off by the stream. And basically what we are doing, in this case we do not care about the story, like we just progress in the game to continue. We actually know that there's one friend of us is missing. Basically they are kids and they tell you, hey, our friend is missing, can you look for them? And we figured out that this friend should actually in the Great Lake at this point. And the weapon we picked up there is actually really important for us. It's an elemental weapon, so we will not use it for boss fights, but we need it for grinding later on. And Z4T0X actually managed the last room really, really well. This was a room I was talking about because those ice-looking enemies are actually really, really annoying, because if you hit them, they actually push you back. And they also have a curse that you can only lift by the bird pin. And if you get hit twice after, or if you use the bird pin and get hit again, you can't lift off the curse and you will definitely die, because the curse will not turn off until you died. So this screen is actually one of those screens which a lot of runners actually died. If you have some donations, you have a lot of time now.
We sadly don't have any donations right now, but just for your information out there, all donations are going towards Save the Children, so that's a good cause, and you might consider donating. Then we also have something to fill the runs. Besides the awesome commentary, of course.
Thanks. So yeah, let me talk a little bit about this grind. The good thing about this grind is actually the fish are really weak. You can kill them always with one hit. And they actually supply you with quite a lot of experience points. And the interesting fact is the community from Japanese and from the other countries, let me say it like this, develop different strategies to level up in this game. For example, we talked earlier about the lottery in Kyoto, where you can pick up the flora. And the Japanese people actually evolved the city into the next stage. And then they gambled for the Thunder Pike. The Thunder Pike is a really, really strong weapon, but the problem is to win the Thunder Pike at the lottery is really, really rare. But they did it, and some of them did a really good job, like they had a really good RNG there and could progress with that. And I believe they start leveling up from level 17 or 18, like they go into that cave way more earlier, which makes this cave actually a lot more dangerous because you have less defense, less attack power, less HP and such. And so the guys in front of this door were even more dangerous than in our way. And apparently the run after the fish grind is actually quite similar to the Japanese people. Like, it's really interesting to see that in a lot of fronts, actually, the Japanese community and the other communities develop several different strats. And sometimes it's so good that we actually kind of fuse those strategies to actually get an even better result. And it's quite interesting because I would say the Japanese communities are quite isolated because the language is a big barrier for most of them. But sometimes when we're watching those streams on Japanese people, we see, oh, they're doing something different. We should check that out, and the other way around. So with all the people that I met from those communities, they are really, really friendly, and they're so glad that we help each other. I can just support that. It's really, really good. Yeah. So Stu is about 30 seconds behind, so the race is still really, really close.
Yeah, it might all come down to that Gaia manipulation, which would be awesome.
But first, there's Megatron.
Oh, okay, never mind, don't mind me.
We got a big meme incoming with the Megatron fight.
Yeah. So.
That's one of the most. That's one of the best bosses in the game. Zockerstu split name for that is called "This is Patrick," in all caps. You might figure out why.
Yeah, the interesting fact actually is when you first fought the boss, you're thinking, wait, which one exactly is the boss? Is it the dragon in the background? But nope, you actually realize these are the starfishes, which tries to attack the dragon, and in the background you can actually see a plane, a broken plane, which fall down, and the dragon is actually protecting the friend that flies with the machine and actually broke down there. So the dragon is all fine, he's a nice guy, and if a starfish actually land on your head, he can actually spit fire and turn that starfish back from your head. The problem is, if you get hit, you lose health, and sometimes you can die at this point. And it's quite a big time loss because you have a big way to backtrack.
But flawless fight for both of them, so that was pretty well executed.
Yes. An interesting fact is about the starfish falling from the top. You're only able to hit him twice with a slider attack if you do it on the first time. We do not know why, but it's possible. And hitting him twice with a slider is really, really powerful, so we always try to go for it. And Z4T0X right now is doing some preparation for later. In the desert there are several different chests we pick up just because of the money, because later in the game we want to buy an armor which decrease our health but increase our attack power immensely. So we just lose a bit of health for a lot of attack power, which is really, really good because we are speedrunners and we don't get hit anyway, so we shouldn't care.
And we lose defense.
And defense as well? Oh, okay. So you lose defense as well, which make it even, funnier. And yeah, this is basically all preparation. Like in this screen we also get another chest with gold. And at the next island we also get up to 1 to 2 chests depending on how much money we have. Like we get the turbo boots, which allows us to actually run really, really fast. And it also allows us to run into walls and to destroy them. So how much money? Oh, we should be fine on money. I think the armor is about 6,660.
Yep.
Am I fine on money? I'm not sure.
Oh, let me check real quick.
Oh, yeah, okay, never mind.
You should take the chest, you're 300 below.
Yeah, I thought it was only 1,000 in that chest, so I was kinda scared.
Yeah, don't worry, you should be fine. And as you can see, Z4T0X already equipped the boots and they are really, really fast. And yeah, in this town we actually meet an old friend of us. It's Lady Fita. And apparently she is really, really sick. And the girl just told us, hey, you should probably get some ginseng for her. And so we get to the doctor. And he just tells us, yeah, there's a guy that I know who have ginseng. And so we get it. Maybe we see, I think we don't see a backup here, nope. There's a backup for you if you are low on health. you can actually grab one of the snacks at the bars outside. It's rather cheap and you get your full health back, and it's always a good idea if you got hit earlier. It's a small time loss, and I can just recommend it if you are actually low on health. And the small cutscene is all about, you have to imagine those brothers are in a clinch, like the one want to gather as much metal as possible. We do not know why exactly. And he is doing like illegal stuff so far. And it's not really clear what he's actually doing, but we will later know in the game that he actually have a pact with a specific guy in this game. And so basically we took the ginseng, bring it back to the other doctor, which prepared that ginseng for our girlfriend, not for our girlfriend, for our friend Lady Fita. And the upcoming cutscene is really, really important, because in a speedrun position, if you mess up the text box and choose the wrong one, we have to watch the whole cutscene again, and this is a time loss of about 1 minute. And what actually happened right here now is you see the king in Stockholm and Lady Fita. And Fita have to do some really bad stuff. Like the king is leaving and he tells her, kill the parents from L. And the interesting thing is, Lady Fita have a lot of problems doing that, but the parents like, it's your job. We are not angry at you, just do it, and you're not a bad person. And that actually shows how good-kinded her parents are, and how good-kinded our Lady Fita is as well. So you see, everything which have a dark side also have a light side.
Well, she was kind of blackmailed by the king there, so...
Yeah, she was really blackmailed by the king, that's one thing. But I think the story is that good because the parents told her, do it. We are not angry at you, we are angry at the king. And that's why I think it's such a good story to tell in this way. Like, you feel so sorry for both of them, and you think, okay, it's sad, but dark side, light side, it's always one medal. Remix. So, and next up, the next manipulation. The manipulation basically is all over the same. We save the game, reset the console, get a specific RNG seed, and we are fine. And the reason why we do that, we actually have to go into the next castle, which is positioned on the left. And just a small fun fact for you guys, Birds is now leaving the screen to the right, but when you see the overworld, he's leaving the city to the left. And in this castle we actually have guardians, and every time a guardian catches you, they throw you out of the castle. And just because we manipulate the RNG at this point, we know exactly how those guardians are actually interfere. And if nobody of our runners actually mess up the movement, this castle should be really, really easy. If they mess up, it could take quite a while before they finish this. Oh, Z4T0X was a little bit in struggle. And that's good. Like, the most difficult one are the first two guardians. The other guardians after that are quite okay, and that's basically the reason why we use the boots to actually break through the door. And otherwise, only the guardians are the difficult part in this castle. Normally, this castle is really, really easy. And now what happens again? This looks rather familiar because, okay, what is L doing here? And apparently it was an illusion, and who can play with illusion really well? It's a girlfriend, Malin. Oh, that's... you mess up the man up. Yeah.
Not
so what,
on the usual spot, but... on the second guard, stuck in on the stage.
Ah, okay. Like what you saw by Stu, he just messed up the manipulation a little bit. He just did a little bit of wrong movement there, and so he reset to get a better one, because most likely it's faster to reset and to try it again than to try it without the manipulation. And on the left you can see again a lot of main characters. We have Al, we have Roy, and I think, I always mess up those names, I think he's called Wu. It's basically one of the brothers that was talking about the Gin thing and such. And Roy is like, yeah, I don't care what I do, I'm just a mercenary. I do everything for money, so don't talk to me like that. And apparently he cares more than he actually shows. And again we see our hero Birds is really sleeping very well. Like, I mean, it's a good solution, you are captured there anyway, so why don't you sleep? And the music is already telling who's there. It's our friend Lady Feeder.
So Stu also made it?
Uh,
Good job there.
yeah, Stu made it also. Like, if you're at this point, then it's okay. And now we do a small trick. We just let us grab from one of the guardians, and then we get teleport back to the entrance. And yes, this guardian is really, really annoying because a lot of times he can catch you if you don't manipulate him. And again, there's our girlfriend Elle. And again, an illusion. And actually in this castle there's a library where you can read a lot of stuff there. You also get to know what happened to the 4 women on the boat from Bloody Mary and such. So if you search for story parts, you can actually find them here. And the illusion that Malin actually creating is really, really, I would say, it's, I don't know how to describe, it's like, Malin is actually telling you, you have to decide between the overworld or the underworld, L. And you're not sure what to do because you live so long in the overworld that you're like, I should take the overworld L, but on the other hand, I still love the underworld L, so you don't know really what to do. And because of that, Lady Feeder is there and actually stop thinking about that. It's just an illusion. And this is one of my favorite scenes because this is a typical bitch slap. I actually have a Francoface emote with exact that moment. And this is basically what I told you earlier. The story from Malin is actually progressing really, really big. Like, the thing is, Malin is just a small girl. She doesn't know what real love is. She doesn't know what to do with her life, and she's really, really desperate. And so she's really easy to manipulate, and the guys in the castle actually manipulate her to do that. And Lady Feeder is one of the first person that actually do a bit of real talk to her. And so she realized, God damn it, I did a bad thing. And now she wants to help, and probably it's too late. But wait, there's something. Sounds like Indiana Jones is coming.
Hey!
And it's Perry.
It's the skateboarding kid.
Yeah. Just imagine breaking walls with a skateboard. That's really, really impressive.
You said before, he's so buffed, you know?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know.
He got the Atlas glitch.
Yeah, he got the Atlas glitch twice. So, and yeah, basically we can now continue the story, and we actually have to find Elle. And Malin actually gave us a small hint that there's a hidden switch at a specific place. And another thing is, like this screen, I have to admit this is one of my least favorite screens in this game. You have to actually lit off 6 candles with water, and to actually do that real quick is kind of difficult because the room is really small, you have a lot of stuff to dodge and such. It's okay, but it's still really annoying.
Why can't you just go to L before?
Because if you go earlier to L, you are not able to press the button on the wall. So, if you trigger the cutscene with Malin, actually this cutscene triggers a button to open the door. You have some donations?
Yes, we have a donation. In fact, a $100 donation. From All My Guts saying, now this is pod racing, yippee!
So this cutscene is really, really interesting because the dialogue between Lady Fita and Roy is really interesting. Lady Fita is like, Roy, why did you do that? Because she knows him already and he was always a mercenary, and he's like, I can change and I can do whatever I want, so just try to convince me and I do other things. And by the way, there's an interesting thing at this screen where Z4T0X is right now. Actually quite a few runners soft locked, because if you're moving with the turbo boots and moving too fast into the stair trigger, the stair actually triggers but lock you on the screen, so you're not able to move anymore. And the trigger is kind of stupid because the trigger just works from the bottom and not on the top, so you have to reset the game and do the whole castle again. So basically the story is really good in the castle, but the castle is not a really nice thing to speedrun actually, it's quite annoying. I always have to think about SMW when the castle is shaking.
SMW flashbacks.
Yes, not anymore though. And yeah, Perry is like, yeah, I have to do my stuff, we will meet later. And Malin is like, yeah, sorry that I did that to you, I will never do that again. And so we progress our little story. And another thing that actually triggers right now, our friend with the airplane actually need a lot of metal to actually build additional airplanes. And the problem is the castle where we were actually bought all of the metal stuff in the world. So that's actually was the reason why we go to that castle. And really nearby the castle there was the city, and that's why we actually got the progression there. So I think the story is really, really good and have also logical connections. It's not like, hey, maybe you look at this tower, maybe it's dangerous. It's really good in the way of progressing. Bird! Yeah, and he just told us, hey, I built an airplane and you can use it. Like, our hero Bird is quite a talented guy, like, without a lesson, flying an airplane in just under 20 seconds. So maybe Z4T0X will give us a frame-perfect landing.
I'll try.
So it's basically, I would say this is a meme, like the... Oh,
Almost.
that was disgusting. Now this is basically a meme, like the airplane is flying really, really fast, and sometime you can get it that you fly with the full speed to the next landing zone, stop immediately and fly down immediately. It's really, really difficult because it's really precise, but it's just basically a meme that almost every time happens.
What did you buy?
Oh yes, he actually bought an armor we were talking earlier. This armor cost 6,660 gold, and this armor actually decreases our health, decreases our defense, and also increase our attack power. So we actually get a lot of attack power, which is basically like, let me guess, like 4 to 5 levels in total, just because we're wearing the armor. but wearing the armor has the disadvantage of having less health and less defense. So it's a really, let me say, risky strat, but it's totally worth it. And yes, now we're switching to the weapon we got in the Great Lake, because we will do the next grind. And as you can see, we always use the bone pin to get back, because the bone pin is so much faster, especially in dungeons where you have to go back in all the time, because the dungeon is quite separated in several different locations, I would say.
And you also saw Z4T0X equipping his armor there, almost halving, almost like reducing his health by half, so that's really a bunch. But I mean, like, that's what you gotta do when you want to speedrun this game.
We actually have several different strats for getting armor and such, which are somehow just slower, but we have ways like getting the Ambu Pike, which turns defense also into attack power. We have used the Kimono, which is also an armor which just increases your attack power. These are basically, I would say, safe strats if you want to go a little bit slower, but a little bit faster than the slowest one, I would say. And unfortunately, all of those actually didn't pay that much out in the end, like the route with the armor we got right now. And this is the next grind. We're grinding from, I hope I do not say it wrong, from 24 to 26.
Yep. Alright.
Got it. So one thing that I think is gotten unimportant is before we got the Dark Gaia manipulation, which we will do at the end of the run, we actually collected a lot of gold here, because Dark Gaia without manipulation is really difficult. And so we got some money, so we were able to buy some bulbs later on for the Dark Gaia fight to heal ourselves. But since we have the Dark Gaia manipulation, which both of our runners will do, we do not need that money anymore, so we can just focus on the grinding and do it as fast as possible, because picking up money would waste time at this point. And yeah, Stu is going ham in the elevator. And I believe this is one of the best grinding spots in the game, like those enemies give you a lot of experience in a reference to how fast you can kill them. Oh, and yeah, if you noticed, Z4T0X was putting a lever at the middle, which actually gives us the ability to go more to the ground of the castle and to the down floors there. Yeah, there's also, we should explain it, maybe the donation from earlier get more sense then. Every time we are going into a Terranigma stream, at least one person is writing in the chat, is it Dark Gaia yet? And it's like, it's just me. Yeah, it was for the manipulation. Like, I think we have a little bit of time right now, there's nothing really big happening right now. So the Dark Gaia manipulation at the end is something, we had a lot of RNG seeds, like I was talking earlier about the RNG seed at the parasite, at the bird fight. We already resetted the RNG seed at before the ship and before the castle. It's called Dragoon Castle, yes, Dragoon Castle. And we also can do that for the Dark Gaia at the end, which is quite a long manipulation, so you have to manipulate quite well for quite a long time. And if you manage to pull out that manipulation, you can beat Dark Gaia as fast as possible. We actually measure it out, and even not doing the manipulation is probably slower than going for it. Which is quite interesting, because normally if you have a manipulation, you always waste some time to get that. And so you say, okay, I just save 10 seconds instead of 12 without the manipulation. But getting 10 seconds is still better than getting no seconds. So we go for that. But apparently the Dark Gaia man-up is really, really good. Shoutouts to Mega Weasel and Zeal at this point, because both of them were starting to do that and then working together on that manipulation. And it's really, really good. Like, this game is RNG hell, and to fight a working manipulation is a really masterpiece of work.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when they did runs on this, you play like 3.5 hours, having like really the godlike pace, and then it's just like rip because you get the worst RNG on the last boss, which is Dark Gaia. So Dark Gaia RNG manipulation is really kind of a blessing when it comes to consistency with this run.
Yeah.
And we got Megatron coming up soon, I guess, right?
Yes, Megatron is coming up soon.
I heard there was a speedrunner which isn't relevant at all to the community who got nosebleed fighting that boss.
We shouldn't tell that story.
You can't imagine how hard it is fighting that with nosebleed, not able to talk at all.
Okay, he is already talking, so you have to imagine we were sitting in Discord listening to that, or maybe I was listening on stream and he was like, right in the fight of Megatron, and he was like, damn it, I got nosebleeding, but I have to beat him. And like, our imagination just went wild, like, what the hell is he sitting there with nosebleeding? And
You're not a true Terranigma speedrunner once you didn't get at least one time nosebleed during the Megatron fight. So good luck with Z4T0X.
Good luck,
for
Z4T0X.
yeah. So the problem about this fight is Megatron actually produced a lot of lag, and the problem is you have to adjust your gameplay to the lag. And and the problem is Megatron hits you quite hard at this point, because you have a lot of damage, but as we told earlier, we lose a lot of defense and such. And there's one thing which is really, really annoying, and by the way, he did it. Nice job.
Good job.
And one thing we should mention is, even if you kill Megatron, the hitboxes from the top area are still there. So we had runners who got hit twice in a row, had really low HP, killed Megatron, and wasn't aware of that actually the hitboxes are still there, run into that, died, and had to redo the fight. And if you remember earlier, I told you the chapter is called The Resurrection of a Genius. And welcome, ladies, this is a genius. This castle is called Beluga's tower, I guess, or laboratory. Beluga's laboratory, and he's kind of a madman. Like, we're wondering what is standing there around and what is that stuff. And he is a genius for sure, but as more as you get, let me say, a genius, the more crazy you go.
Yeah, some focus time for Zockerstu.
Yeah.
Funny. One cycle.
Really, really good job there, Stu.
Oops. There it was.
That's what I meant.
What am I doing?
Okay, so you can see on Vedox stream right now, Beluga is actually a madman, and he believed that people which are not optimal are not allowed to live. And the first time he's actually testing his stuff is in Neo Tokyo, and so all of the people in Neo Tokyo actually die. Like, he had the vision of a better world, but he believed that the better world is just available for better people. And this is kind of a interesting story. Like, we have those stories a lot of times in the real life, I would say, that people have that belief. And it's actually interesting that Nintendo put those stories into a child game, actually. So I recommend, if you play it as a child, you probably don't understand what happened. You should redo it as an adult and should check out the story. It's really, really good. And right now, happening, our hero Birds is thinking, I did everything I could do. I resurrect the world, I resurrect the animals, I resurrect the humans, I'm done. And apparently, a good old friend is talking to us and say, nope, get yourself together, we still need you, because the world is not safe right now. And yeah, welcome back to Nepal. I actually do like the story at this point, like your friends are communicating to you, and they rescue there. There was a heavy controller. And now you should pay attention to Z4T0X. Like, we use a different strat to get through the desert, and the turbo builds are so good. We actually have some cues, like we are counting the stones at the top. And I think it was the 6th stone after the 3 big stones, where you have to dash to the top. And this is really, really fast. Like, we tried to actually skip the Gobi desert before actually beating Luran, but so far it's not possible because some kind of game mechanic actually prevent that. So, and right now we actually preparing somehow the end game, and there's a really important thing. Yomi is actually telling you, didn't you remember the stone that is laying in the body of, on the deaf body? And at this point, the people get the idea it could be the stone that Liam got from you. But that apparently is not true. It's a completely different stone there, because the stone we gave Liam will appear later in the game. Like, it's really, I guess it's more like a translation mistake that you get the idea that it should be the stone from Liam, but the story after this actually tells another story, so it can't be the stone from Liam. And the next point is Australia with the Ayers Rock. And this is actually a really easy stone to get here. Like, we just climb up this little mountain, and at the top of this there is standing a man with just have some kind of a foreshading, like, oh, something will happen, somebody will speak to me in a specific way, and apparently we are the person he think is the one who needs to get the stone, and so he give us one of the stones.
For free.
For free. No clickbait. So basically we are at the last part of the game already. Like, we're just collecting the last important stuff, and then we're most likely to be done in this game. And yeah, you actually do not get a hint to go actually to Neo Tokyo, but I guess the developer were thinking, you see Neo Tokyo in the cutscene after the Beluga's laboratory, so you probably will check it out. I mean, it's something like a dangerous gas, so let's check that out. Maybe not the smartest idea, but we are a hero. And actually, we have a small communicator there, and we can actually hear the sound of the sewers. And yeah, so we try to check out the sewers because a small girl was talking there. So we should save her because she's probably the last one surviving. And this part is really interesting because we still have the bird pin, which is good, because some of the attacks from those enemies can actually give you a really nasty curse. You see, Z4T0X was a little bit scared, and I completely understand why, because if you got the curse, you actually die in this place. You can't do anything about it. It's something like a timer. It goes down to 0 and you immediately die. Yeah, that was a good grind. Yeah, just poking the slime there. And I actually like how they manage their keys to the sewers. Like, you need a key to get into the one sewer, and then if you open this door, you have to go to another door to actually get another key to open the door on the other side of the sewers. That's what I call a good management. Ah, nice. Everything went as expected.
Like the status is the status upgrade you're getting with the level up the same every time?
No.
Okay, so
You mean the values for the upgrade?
yeah, like you get +3 luck or +3 strength.
I think it is set.
Like it is set, yeah, but like it's different on the levels, you know.
Oh, that's what you mean, yeah. So every level have a specific value that increase, but every level have a different amount of values. And I believe the maximum level in this game is actually level 50.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. If you level up to level 50, it first took quite a while, because you need a lot of experience after it. And you basically one-shot everything.
Wow.
Oh, that was really...
I have never seen that before. Never happened before.
Worst possible origin.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're level 50, we were talking about that, you actually one-shot everything. The Dark Gaia fight is getting quite funny, because if you get into the 2 cycles, you just hit him with one small attack and zack, he's dead. It's really... I did it as a child because I want to figure out what is the max level, and I did like 2 weeks of grinding, and then I got to Dark Gaia and was like, boom, done.
Can you be slow here and she dies, or?
No. The girl actually can't die. This cutscene is scripted, so we all fine. And now you should recognize this guy.
Yeah.
Who is it?
It's our baby line.
Right.
It's Simba.
Get out of here. Now it's actually Liam, and somehow the girl got the stone, and the only reason why Liam is chasing the girl is just because she have the stone that Liam got from birds earlier in the game. And the interesting fact is, at the end of this cutscene, you can actually hear some voices in the community cater, and there's actually a rescue team that is going to the source of Neo Tokyo, and they rescue the girl. Apparently the rescued girl will never be there again, like, I think they just forgot about her. But apparently if you develop Australia to the maximum level, you can see Liam there in the zoo. Like, there's, if I remember it correctly, there's a small... if you don't have the... if you don't develop it, then there's no zoo, and after you got the zoo, there's a small shield like Liam, the king of the lions, which is a really nice addition, to be honest. Birds. And yeah, at this point, we actually realized the developer of this game tried to finish this game real quick, because those cutscenes are so weird and not in any way connected to the story. It's just like to have to play through it to get a stone, and then it's done. Like, you have your characters, like Perry and Mei Lin are standing there, and later on you will see Lady Fita and Roy, but it doesn't make any sense. So it feels like it was a dungeon planned for the early game, but somehow they needed a place where they hide another stone, and it feels like they just have to hurry and to finish the game somehow.
And they also thought, hey, let's make an insane puzzle here and just let our players push statues through rooms because it's fun.
You shouldn't laugh. There were people that actually failed that puzzle. Like, for example, if you would push these statues too far to the left or to the right, you're not able to recover, so you have to leave the room and do it again. Yeah. And we had people like, the first one was good, and then the second one too far to the right, they want to fix it, and pushed it one tile farther, and like, damn it, I have to do it again. And this is for sure a really, really stupid time loss. So basically the only story we get at this point is Elle is actually, or Elle was left at this place I think a year ago, and she doesn't have any food or water left. And the thing is, if she survived the 1 year, she's something like a goddess. Like, she is not human anymore, she is something like a better human, or whatever you want to call it. And now she's realizing she don't need friends because she is way superior, and so she just let Roy and Fita disappearing. And the other thing, which is kind of weird, Lady Fita and Roy seems like to be a couple in this cutscene, which doesn't fit the story at all. This is really, really weird. So the story is really, I don't know, maybe this was like, we have to finish our work in 10 minutes. The first idea that came onto my desk, we will put it in the game.
And they died.
And they died, yes. So now the only thing we're doing here is Alice telling us, yeah, you have to take the test by yourself. You have to actually take a sip from one of the drinks. It actually doesn't matter. You fall asleep from every of those. And yeah, after this, you got this down, you're done and ready.
Yeah.
So, like,
Totally logical. Like, once the cutscene's over, we're gonna see that. Booyah! There's a chest.
Yeah.
Just got dropped there.
Maybe it's a mimic.
Oh. No, I think we're fine.
It's like the story at this point is really, really stupid. Like, whatever.
It's a confusing cutscene.
Yes.
For sure.
Like, I think the problem at this cutscene is they put actually the sprites from the current main characters into that. So we connect the story from before and after to that point. So it doesn't make sense. I would believe if they would have put completely other sprites into that cutscene, it would maybe make a little bit more sense at this point. And by the way, we are now at the South Pole. And there's not only the graveyard of the hero. On the left side, there's actually a small cave where you can get one of the 4 special armors, and at this point you could get the mermaid armor. Like, this game actually have 4 different special armors and 4 special weapons, and it's just a collection. And right now the story is about, like I told you earlier, about the dark side and the light side. If you look at it right, we are still the boy from the underworld, so we're some kind of the dark side right now. And the ghosts which are talking to us, this is actually, we can see it by the shape of the shadow, is the hero of the light side. And the hero is telling us, if you really want to save your people and to progress, you actually have to become a part of the light side. And the only way to actually become part of the light side is to die.
The light side birds.
Oh no, dodge it, dodge it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Run over.
but I heard there's a frame perfect trick or something.
Yeah, Z4T0X did that, so the game continues. Like, it's basically, the next chapter is now starting, and it's basically the resurrection of the hero. So the interesting part about the story right now is we start again in Stockholm, and there is the overworld L, and we are sitting there in the bed as a small child, as most likely like a baby. And since we are now kind of reborn into the world, we have still parts of the underworld hero inside of us, but we also got a reincarnation of the hero of the light world. So we kind of fuse the light and the dark side into us, which means we are kind of neutral right now. And in the next scene is what is really shocking. There's Underworld Elle. The first time in the game that we see her for real in the overworld, and the elder actually told her, you have to go to the overworld and have to kill that specific baby. And if you read the story, she actually didn't realize that this baby laying there is actually her boyfriend.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's hero telling. And so the elder said, if you want to bring back your hero, birds, you actually have to kill the baby, and then we can arrange something that you get your boyfriend back. So as you can see, we always thought the elder one is like a good guy, and this is the first impression of the elder, like, is he really that good, or is he maybe a bad guy? We do not know, but maybe we will find out at the end.
The underworld elder, right?
There's actually just the elder in the underworld.
He doesn't have a light side.
Yes, this is also a good sign that something could happen. And now this is really funny because not only that we see over an underworld L in the same place, but why is there another Yomi? And right now our friends are talking to us. The trees, the flowers, the birds, the mammals, the humans. Birds. You are not done yet. We need you. Like, right now we are resurrected in some way, but we're still a small child. But somehow it seems like we completely understand what's happening. But somehow it's not possible for us because we're just a small baby. And so all of our friends gathered together and used some kind of, I say, magic to actually do us a favor, to bring us in, what should I say, in a reliable age. Like, come on, you don't give a baby a weapon, you know? And actually, if you have the text in English or in a favorite language, it's a really good one. Like, it shows you are important, you are our friend and such. This is really, really good. Like, it's not only, yeah, you're a nice guy, I like you. It's basically, you are important to other. And this is a message that you get all over the game, which I find is really good to take into the real life as well. Like, they care about each other, they protect each other, and this is really, really important.
Do we have time for another donation?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So we have $50 from Powexil saying, been enjoying the Terranigma race and looking forward to the Link's Awakening DX run later today. Good luck on the final stretch and Dark Gaia.
So, and right now another interesting thing is happening. This is the first time after a long time, after a really, really long time, that L and birds actually meeting each other again. And now it's getting interesting because there's Yomi, and Yomi actually tries to kill us. So why did he try to kill us? He is our friend, we believe. And apparently L is like, nope, I don't let you go, and stop Yomi from doing that. And she is 100% sure that she has protected the life of birds. But you know exactly she is going back to the underworld, and a sign for it that she doesn't make it is when you later came back to the dark world, to the underworld, all of the villagers are there except for her, which means the elder, which seems to be not that good as we thought, actually got rid of her at this point. Yeah. And Birds is just thinking about himself, what did I do, what's happening and all this stuff, so he needs to comprehend. And the overworld elder is just talking to us and say, you have to focus now on the next thing. Like, I understand you have really big problems right now because you can't comprehend what's happening, but you have to go forward. You have your friends, we have each other, we have to continue somehow. And she's telling us that Columbus actually found long time ago two items, the hero pike and the hero armor. And he strongly believed that these two pieces of items are so important that we have to hide it on a really good place. And this place actually was Stockholm. And this was the reason why the king earlier in the game actually tried to know where is this thing, like where is the hero pike, where is the hero armor. And the overworld elf actually never said anything and just watched her parents died, and so it's a really, really dark story at this point. And the interesting thing right now is Yomi is back, but apparently he's really friendly. Like, my first reaction when I played this game the first time was like, wait a minute, he just tried to kill me and now he's friendly as hell? Something is weird. And actually there are a lot of rumors about Yumi, like, is it just one Yumi, is it two Yomis, or whatever the hell he is? And maybe later in the game we get a small hint of it, what Yomi probably is. And the bird right now here is telling us we have to meet. Beluga is actually planning more stuff that we could imagine. And so there is a tower at the east of Asia, so we should meet there. All of your friends are here. Malin is there, Perry, Fita, Roy, all the people that meet our hero birds before. And so yes, we just going to this place as fast as possible.
Is it Dark Gaia?
No, it's not Dark Gaia yet, sorry.
But this can 28, right?
Just with the new undiscovered skip.
Did you zip?
Z4T0X be like, I have something in my pocket. So basically this is just a small way of backtracking. There's actually a small pier at the bottom of Eurasia where we can use the ship. And we go straight to the city to the left. I think it's Lyoto again. Freedom? Yeah, those cities, they're so similar. So we go to Freedom and we actually take the plane again to fly to Russia. And in Russia, arriving, we actually went to the east of Russia to actually get to Beluga's tower.
Fingers crossed for a frame perfect landing.
Yeah, the first one was not satisfying. Oh. Oh. It seems like somebody have to practice. Another interesting fact is I was talking about 4 special items for the armors and for the weapons. At the west of this island, in the cave, there's actually one of the 4 special weapons, which actually, I believe, turn luck into defense. Like those special weapons always turn some defense or attack into something different. So some of them are worth it, some of them are just useless. For example, one of those weapons turns attack power into defense. Like, for sure it's safe, but yeah. Oh, and just a small information that I probably missed. You just noticed both our runners are just equipping the hero pike, because the hero pike is the strongest weapon in the game, especially because he is not the strongest weapon only, he is also a non-element weapon, which means we don't have the 75% damage reduction on bosses. But we do not equip the hero armor, because we still keep the armor that we got in front of Beluga's laboratory, because we still want to have the attack power buff at this point. Like, if you put on the hero armor, you have a lot of defense and you get your health back, but nothing more. So the hero armor is basically a little bit useless. And in the German version, the hero armor is called Enigma Panzer, which is quite interesting because Enigma is always something like indestructible, something that is really, really good. So they actually put a lot of effort into the translations to actually give the game a good attitude, I would say. Like, nothing like, yeah, just call it Heldenpanzer or something like that. And yeah, the thing what I like about this is the castle is not really difficult, but you can hear all the musics from the several different main characters of the game. Like Lady Fita's theme is also really, really good. And actually we still have to pay a little bit attention at this point, because the enemies in this area are quite strong, and if they mess around with you, they can kill you rather quickly.
Oh, it's a final dungeon? Did we say that?
Yes, it's a final dungeon, yes. Like this dungeon is separated into different smaller dungeons, because they are directly connected to each other. But this is probably the last, let me say, inside of a dungeon you will see. And Roy's music, one of the bests. And just to go a little bit again for the speedrun strats here, as you can see, we try to use the turbo boots as often as possible. Like the turbo boots are so fast that it's way better than just normal walking. And if we have long hallways, we really try hard to use them as often as possible. It took a bit of practice, because if you stop dashing, you're actually not stopping right at the point where you stop dashing. So at the beginning you quite frequently will walk into several different enemies. And right now we at Beluga's Airship, and Lady Fita and Roy are telling you have to destroy the main computers of the airship, and they gave you 6 bombs. Was it 6? Yes, I think.
7.
7 bombs, you have to place it. So basically now you are a small terrorist.
But we're sabotaging the airship for a good cause, because
Yes,
the
yes.
Beluga is the bad evil villain. So.
Yes. And just wait for the end, we have a really bad joke at the end of the airship.
Oh, yes.
Please don't spoil. And basically the airship is quite easy, because a lot of the floors do not have a lot of enemies, but apparently the enemies can hit quite hard. And at the airship we should get our last level up, so that we finally go to level 28. In this room we're going to kill the enemies first, because those enemies spawns a text box, and as long as the text box is on the screen you are not able to place one of the bombs. Yeah, level up should be soon. Like you can see, the experience road is really close. Like at the end, perfect. We get to level 28, which makes the Dark Gaia in the end really easy.
Really easy, quote unquote.
Yeah, like for example, if you would try Dark Gaia with level 27 with the same setup, the fight would get really difficult at this point.
Yeah, like the difference between level 27 and 28 is quite much. Like we had our boy Kroig doing some attempts on level 27, but it requires another set of Dark Gaia manipulation. The manipulation just takes longer and it's way riskier. So it's really not worth it to not level up till level 28. And since you can kill so many enemies on the go in that dungeon, I think it's not that much of a time loss to level up till 28.
Okay, time for my personal favorite scene. So as you can see, Z4T0X and Stu have quite a little bit time difference, but the race is still open. The last thing, the Dark Gaia manipulation, could go wrong, and as long as Z4T0X actually not finishing the Dark Gaia fight with the manipulation, the race is still open. Like the optimal fight, I think it's about 4.5 minutes, the split at the last one. 4.5, yeah. And if you do not do the manipulation, you can get splits like 6 minutes, 7 minutes. And Beluga is now about to hit his biggest fan. Actually, I get mad at people who don't split at the red screen. Yeah, and unfortunately the story in Terranigma is still a little bit sad. There's a dove, just one, and we are wondering how is it possible for a bird to fly that high? And Ark is birds, and birds is like I could use it, but what about you, Lady Fita and Roy? And both of them saying, just do it. You are the hero. We have to protect you. And they actually told you we are humans. We are really, really strong. We are really durable. We will definitely survive the impact like this. And to be honest, you get this little cutscene. I don't believe that they actually survived that. And that you actually got the bird is another thing that shows you you are still connected somehow to the animals in this world. Like they knew what happened, they knew what is important, and so we're going to the final fight right now. Everything is done except for the development of the cities. But yeah, Z4T0X will now go back to the place where we start in the overworld, because that's the place where the airship actually comes down, and he will save the last time for his run to actually start the Dark Gaia manipulation. And after he resets and start doing the manipulation, I will just shut off, because the manipulation is really, really challenging.
Good luck.
Bless RNG.
Bless nerves. Nerves. Nice. Whoa!
Good job, but please be quiet. Stu is the next one. He needs to focus.
Dang it, if I fail it, I'm one shot.
Nicely done as well.
Nice race, huh?
Z4T0X, could you continue with the story, because I really want to show the audience the very last screen of the outro. I hope it's okay. The outro is about 5 minutes, but the last screen is really, really good. Then give me a second to explain, okay? Okay. So first thing, we have to catch up a little bit. Basically, the Dark Gaia manipulation is a thing we manipulate with movement and specific triggers to actually get the same pattern every time, so we can kill Dark Gaia as fast as possible, basically. So the next thing is the scene where Z4T0X is right now. Yomi is actually explaining what he actually is. And Yomi is some kind of, let me say, alpha version of the human. Like, he is the base of everything that exists, of humanity, animals, and such. And so he was not really on this side or the other. He was neutral and just did the thing that he might think was the correct one. So there are still a lot of questions open. And unfortunately, we can't show you the last scene, but the very last scene is back in Stockholm. Alice going to the door because somebody is knocking. The door opened and she goes straight into it. And maybe it is the hero, maybe it's somebody other. But this was basically the time to spam Bible thumbs, so please do me a favor, spam the chat with Bible thumbs so we get the feeling of the last screen.
Yeah, it's an open end.
It's an open end, and it's a really good open end. So.
And I think our runners were quite focused and did a great job on this race. So I think it's time for Z4T0X and Zockerstu to give their shout-outs.
Shoutouts to Krorek,
Yeah,
Hulk,
of course.
to Heinemüller, Vitalen, the Terranigma community, Mega Weasel, everyone who did something for the route, for the game.
And also to everyone who donated and supported this. Like, that was a very exciting race, and I'm happy that it worked out like we imagined. And yeah, it was a pleasure to race this. And
thank you for watching.
Great job, dudes.